left it on just for you, Jamie. Let's get every last moment out just for you, mate. Oh, when will you miss it? I don't normally let you hear the end of it, mate. It's spoiled, absolutely spoiled rotten. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Jamie, how you doing, mate? How is the was it Evoto stream that you're watching? How is that? How is that going? Sadly, I couldn't catch it, but I'm sure I got the rundown from you. Was it everything you hoped and dreamed it would be? What are they talking about anyway? Is it like a new product they're releasing? I'm just sorting out the images for the stream in 2 seconds. Yeah, what are they talking about anyway? New products? Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Everybody tuning in. Appreciate you here over the Evoto stream. But yeah, Chris, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Chris, it's been a while, no? Good to see you again. Good to see you again, mate. But yeah, how is everybody doing? Shout out in chat if you're here. Be good to see. We got any regulars? Just looking at the images you guys have posted in the share shoot. If you haven't posted an image and you wanted to, be sure to do so. Let's give you a link here. Go and chat. I'll just pop the link in the chat there. If you wanted to post an image in there, you can do. Yeah. So let's have a look what we got in here. We got to see if Wibbly is going to get us banned this week. Should really have checked beforehand. Nice. Older shot, a couple of softboxes to play with the Boris Optics. In fact, thanks for the discount code. Oh yeah, nice. Glad it worked. Wibbly. Yeah, I got that on my list to talk about. Give that out. I think I messaged most of the people who were kind of shown an interest in the Boris Effects discount code. I think I sent it to most people, but I will certainly give it out here as well. We've got some good stuff in here this week, though. Got some real good stuff. Oh, Chris, got one in here from Chris. Nice. Good stuff. We got Alan. That's looking nice. Raz, you have like huge gains from the last time, man. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, really good stuff. Like Pennywise in the sewer. Jesus Christ. Tony, okay, doing some composite work. I think that's composite. Have a look at that. Main Street's a 3D model. Wow, okay, so everybody's working on some good stuff. Paul in his studio there with 8400. Nice. Some color here as always from Anders. Good stuff. Oh, we got some great shots. I'll go through those in a bit. If you're not sure what I'm referring to, essentially every couple of weeks we do a live stream where kind of go over images you've been working on, share really stuff you've been shooting or trying to work through, any projects or any kind of lighting that you're experimenting with and that sort of stuff. And I'm obviously happy to offer any kind of feedback on any shots, anything that you kind of struggled with. Here's the place to kind of post an image and get some tips, or sometimes it's just good to get a second opinion, right? Look, I thought this would look good. What do you think? I thought this background would work. I'm not really feeling it. What would any other suggestions? We're all creatives here, just kind of finding our way. So it's always good to get other opinions, right? We'll also, before we get stuck into that, have a little bit of a chat about some of the news, latest releases coming out of the summer months now. So starting to see some interesting bits and pieces being announced. Mainly a bunch of cameras and stuff, but still, and more in the video world. But we'll have a chat about that. Yeah. Anders, how you doing, mate? Great shot as always, mate. I just saw it in there. Yeah, good stuff, man. Loving that background. I'll read that in a second, otherwise I'll just get waylaid. Yeah. Uh, Wibbly mate, how you doing? Yeah, I just opened this up and I'm like, Christ, better not. Just better check he hasn't shafted me again. Someone says Evoto Stream interesting with some of the new features. Those of you who don't know, Evoto is like an AI retouching software. Mostly an overhaul, adding on to the current functionality as well as a mobile app. Mobile app, okay. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people do edits on iPads and stuff in Lightroom, right? And I know Adobe tried to push the whole Lightroom mobile for a bit, and they made some changes to Photoshop. I don't know how that went, but look, if it's easy enough for Evoto to do that in an app, because most of their processing, I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the processing is done in the cloud, right? It's not like you download a huge piece of software, like Photoshop, for example, like you're downloading a bunch of software and then most of the processing is done on your machine. To my knowledge, Evoto works on like cloud functionality, right? So you download the software, which basically just tells the system whether you're allowed to use it or not, but most of the heavy lifting is done via the cloud. So in theory, very doable for them to make an app and put it on an app. So I guess why not, right? I don't know how many people are going to be doing too much retouching on the app, but good to have, right? Mostly an overhaul and encouragement as well. Cloud collaboration retouching for video. Retouching for video? Damn, that's wild, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could see that. Jimmy, going back to Evoto introduction of AI culling. However, it's free at the moment to try. Sounds of it, will end up having to pay extra for it. So, I think, did we speak about it on here, about the AI culling recently? I know I was mentoring a guy and we were kind of looking at AI culling, because that could be pretty miserable, right? You shoot 1,000 images and, now I got to get 30 or something ready for the client or something like that. Depending on what you're doing and how you work. A lot of people's version of culling is just remove the ones that are out of focus or remove ones where the eyes are closed and that sort of thing. So let's say like you shoot 1,000 images and they're going to hand off like 850 or something to the client, right? Like I think that can be, sometimes a bit overkill, but wedding clients, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but historically, to my knowledge, wedding clients, they just want everything, and you tell them that you give them everything, but really I would still highly recommend that you don't. I would still highly recommend that you remove the the blank frames and the eyes closed and all that sort of stuff, or out of focus shots, rather than giving them everything, but you certainly give them the vast majority. Portrait shooters, on the other hand, I would probably say if you shoot 1,000, you're going to be showing the client 50 or 60, right? Because it's just too much. You can't show them all these images and expect somebody to choose an image for the wall, right? You're just getting it down to a couple of images they're going to spend a lot of money on, and like you can't give them 900 images to go through. It's just going to be overkill, and they just end up not choosing anything. So I think that's kind of where the culling area could really have a benefit, right? Where you could kind of dictate, right, I'm giving you this 1,000 images, I want you to get it down to 100, rather than the ones that I've seen, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but the ones that I've seen, all they do is we'll remove the ones that are similar, right? We'll choose one, like if they're just taken that real close together, we'll choose like the best one of those, we'll get rid of the other one, we'll get rid of eyes closed, we'll get rid of out of focus, the flash didn't fire, and then we'll just give you what's left. I think it would be cool if you could kind of force it down, like really tell it, look, I just want to see 100 out of this 1,000. Could be cool. I haven't seen anything that does that. Hey Kat, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. iPad functionality has been added. Okay, so I mean, makes sense, right, with the mobile app. Yeah. Evoto desktop app is done on the machine. Is it, Jamie? Okay, so this is a pretty small program then, because I think when I downloaded it, it wasn't big. Are you sure it's done on the machine? I'll Altitude does similar, and now with AI retouching, but doesn't have the flexibility of a photo. Flexibility, I wonder what you mean by that. Yeah, I'd be scared to miss out on some artsy pics, even if it's not in focus, etc. with AI culling. To be fair, so Kat, this is the issue, right? This is the issue, and look, when I say we, I was working with a guy, and we were kind of going through a bunch of them. I think we had like 5 or 6, maybe even a couple more AI culling apps, right? And we were looking at it for him to try and find one that would help with that. Do 1,000 image shoot. He doesn't have time to go through them all. He wants to use something to do that, which is smart. I get it, but still, you really had to, like, you're just babysitting it, right? And like you, Kat, I could never, there has certainly been some images that I really like that nobody else would keep, sort of thing. Yeah. So I'm right there with you, Kat. I wouldn't want to rely on AI culling. Maybe if I was doing corporate events, right, nothing particularly exciting, then sure, okay, fine. But I think for portraits or weddings or something like that, I'd still be hesitant. Maybe you just get it to remove the closed eyes, and then you just go through the remaining 900 or something. But still, yeah. Like some of them that I looked at were also saying that, look, we'll kind of grow an AI style based on your style, right? So but you'd still have to, like, you were giving it like 30,000 images or something like that. It was a ton of images. So you would still have to do like a lot of heavy lifting at the front end, right? So teaching it, basically teaching it what you like and what you don't like. I mean, I guess that would save you time, like in 5 years' time or something like that. But it seems like a lot of heavy lifting at the front end, to be sure. Yeah. Jimmy says you can amend the parameters on how much it curls. It may keep some of the artsy shots. Yeah. So yeah. Jimmy's right. You're saying you can amend it, and it teaches you. It learns your style. But again, it's good to. I don't know. I don't think I could let go. Basically, is what I'm saying. You can try it, Kat. Yeah, a lot of them have like free periods or a certain number of images. The ones that I looked at all had like a certain number of images that it would kind of test. Yeah, so like you can certainly try it. Like, you got nothing to lose. Yeah. This is regarding processing on your machine. I double checked them out of themselves. It's a 1 point. Okay, interesting. So that's interesting, Jamie, because when I originally downloaded it, it was super quick. I think it was less than 300 when I originally got it back in the day. So I wonder if they've kind of moved away from the cloud system. So that's interesting. I wonder if the iPad does the same then, if it's on the iPad as well, or whether it's using cloud, like the mobile app. I wonder if it's using cloud power or not. When I did the book, I knew of Auto and had reservations. I should have taken the plunge. Would have saved me a lot of time and burnout. Okay, Jamie. Yeah. Okay. Look, I mean, like, you're definitely singing its praises there. Yeah. Yeah, if it works for you, everybody's process is different. What everybody wants is different as well. I mean, you're hesitant like I am, yeah. So Terry says, I'd imagine AI culling would basically get trained on the good shots, and then it'll end up looking the same shots with different people. Good point, Terry. That's a good point. So Terry, kind of leaning on to what I was saying there about, you're teaching the software on 3,000, 30,000 images, and then, yeah, like, does it? Yeah, I mean, your style wouldn't grow, would it? You're right, Terry. As a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Do I keep the same types of shots now that I did 5 years ago? Probably not. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. So it's not kind of growing with you. Yeah. Valid. Just don't know about the iPad and phone, but reckon processing is cloud-based. Devoto confirmed on the machine it uses your GPU for the AI retouch. Okay. Interesting. Okay, Jamie. Cool. Okay. Good info. All right. Yeah. Another thing I noticed as well, which I found kind of found interesting. I think one of you sent me a retouching video. Maybe it was Steve, maybe it was Jamie, but yeah, so sorry, but one of you sent me an Evoto retouching video, and it was like, oh look, look at what it's doing to this girl's skin. Like she had bad acne and that sort of stuff, and it's like, yeah, no, don't get me wrong, it was impressive. Not sure she looked, too much like she did to begin with, but like my concern with it is you wouldn't light a girl like that with skin like that. You wouldn't light her with a harder light and that sort of stuff, and you would add fill light, and you would have, you would flatten out those spots. Like if you were the one retouching that, if you were the photographer who knew that your client walks in and she's got acne and that sort of stuff, you're like, oh, I don't want to retouch that, right? You would adjust your lighting based on their skin, right? Which is what I would do, right? I would soften it up, add a fill light, maybe add a really diffused light. You'd still have definition from a key, but you would fill it in. You'd make sure that all those spots were kind of very, very heavily reduced with lighting, right? As opposed to the image that they were using, which was just like, that's just bad photography in the first place. So I'm kind of torn on it, right? Because like I get it, like if you make a mistake or you screw up, or like the lighting is what it is, or the fill flash didn't fire, I get it. This can do it, but I think it also makes you a pretty lazy photographer in the first place. That's just my kind of 2 cents on it. Yeah. Yeah, look, I know, Jamie. I know you've grown up so quickly, man. It's impressive. It's impressive. I wish I could find that video. I think it was Steve, but even if I could find it, I don't think I could show it on. I don't think I could get it onto here anyway. But yeah, it was just badly lit, So it's kind of a weird one. Yeah. But anyway, I'll see if I can find it for next time. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, does anybody use AI culling at the moment, or has anybody tried it? And because I mean, there's so many now. They're all desperate to try and get your get you on board with the subscription. Like one of the bigger ones coming out at the moment is Aftershoot, or I think it's Aftershoot. Yeah, they've certainly offered me a bunch of deals to, but it's not for me. Wasn't me. I sent you bad examples of gel lighting. Why did a nano banana? Yeah, can you, Jamie, if you've got a moment, can you share those, like your nano banana thing in here? I want to show people what you've been. Just put it in the reply to yourself here. Yeah, because it's we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. That those of you who were just tuning in, we spoke about the Google's AI imaging thing called Nano Banana and that sort of thing. And one of its major selling points seems to be you give it an image, right, and then it adapts that image properly. Both, Jamie, yeah, both. Because I'm still not fully clear on what you did and what Nano did. I'm being serious. Like that's how good it is. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind sharing them, I'd love to bring them up. Yeah, so it seems like what it does is it takes an image that you've given it, and then it like Tony Oliver here put an image through it, and it was like a girl standing in a field, and she had a sword that was in her waistband, and he goes, can you make this girl draw the sword, right? So it gives you exactly the same image, not doing anything else, but it moves the character model, changes the expression, like the face, draws the sword in the hand and that sort of stuff. So it literally takes like the data that you've given it and 3D models it. I mean, it doesn't it doesn't know what it's doing, but it's just working out what it needs to do. So, and then Jamie was saying you can put it in, like film sets and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's not like Midjourney where you start with a blank canvas and like kind of build it up from there. It seems like you're giving it imagery, which is why sort of retouching and that sort of thing has been like afraid of it, or like composites and that sort of stuff, because you can just merge two images. You can go, can you merge these two images, and it'll do it. So very, very powerful for sure. Yeah. Shot latex, then I changed it into cosplay. Give me 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Where is that? Maybe I could just, yeah, Voto skin retouch. It was kind of like this one. I apologize. Yeah. So I think this is the one that he sent, but like wild, right? I mean, like it is impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's sliders at the end of the day, right? All he's doing is moving sliders, but like you would like that differently to begin with. Yeah. But and I think the video sped up like a little bit, but it's still only going to take you like less than a minute like to get there. I wonder what the client. I don't know. Because the client, would she be happy? Like, I guess she would be happy. Like, oh yeah, I mean, because it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's so fundamental to her look. I guess young person would be happy. I don't know. It's just he's just not the same person anymore, man. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. But it is certainly showing the power of the software, especially when it's all done in sliders, right? You got sculpting, dodge and burn, highlights, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, kind of wild. Yeah. What do you guys think to that? Do you think that's impressive, or do you think that I wouldn't use that with my clients? It's too much, or would you go, yeah, I could see the benefit of it. Maybe I would move the sliders only a little bit. I wouldn't move them like all the way. Maybe you'd stop there, right? Maybe that's enough. So I mean, you don't have to go fully. You could just go all the way. Could you see yourselves using this with your clients? Do you think? Because I mean, look, it's just one slider. I get it. Like one slider. All he's done at the moment is freckles and acne. Boom, one slider. To be fair, I think you could stop there. In all honesty, right? And I think that actually probably looks better than than the Barbie doll at the end. Actually, yeah. That is wild, though. That is wild. Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, the trick is not to go full blast, add grain, texture skin, pull it back. I agree, man. I think I actually, just pausing the video there, I actually think that would be enough, in all honesty. I think, yeah. I mean, again, you would light it differently. She's got eye bags and all that sort of stuff. She's got heavy lighting from above, which is just, making the spots worse. You would light them properly to begin with. But yeah. I think you'd probably just stop there. One thing with the Voto is that it does body skin too. A telltale sign of AI's tuning apps is it usually does the face and just leaves arm blemishes. I tried and hated it. Yeah, like redness in the skin as well is like a major thing for that, because a lot of girls will wear makeup, right, on the face or whatever, and then like the neck will be red and the chest will be red and the arms will be red and that sort of thing, and it just looks weird. Yeah. But that is interesting, yeah. But I think Voto does the body skin, which is what you said. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. That is a classic retouching mistake for sure. Is people retouching the face, looking beautiful, and then like there'll be like hands in shot, and the hands are like red and just looking awful. It's like, why would you only do the face? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not for me, but. Hell, if I shot like 3,000 images at a wedding, you better believe that you're using something like that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think for wedding photographers, that's huge. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look. Where is my page? So Anders says, my work ethics, I would never do anything in Evoto. Let me just bring this up a little bit. One thing in Evoto. Oh, he's deleted it. Why did you delete it? Did it get deleted by itself, Anders, or did you delete it? I'd certainly be interested to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah. I use Evoto, but you must be easy on the sliders. I think I found a way to get the same look if I do the retouch by hand. Okay. Yeah, so you managed to get it to look pretty balanced. Yeah. Okay, let's go over a couple of bits that been sent my way over the last week or so. So a photographer reached out to me a while back. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and he's based in the US, got good stuff. I wouldn't actually mind hearing his thoughts on the way he works, so maybe I'll try and convince him to come on the stream. One thing that he was kind of asked to work on recently was this piece of kit that is muted. Yeah, piece of kit that essentially enables you to use autofocus on manual focus lenses, right? So it's got a piece of tech in there that's looking through the lens and it's working out like the focal points, and then it's talking to a manual focus lens to enable you to use autofocus on manual focus lens, which is kind of wild. There's actually a bit of tech going on there. I mean, probably something to do with LiDAR or something like that, which is measuring the distance and the bounce back, and then translating that to the lens itself. As you can see, the kit there. So it's basically an attachment that you would use. So it looks to be, according to this, is like there's a collar, right, that goes here. So, there's a collar that goes where the camera is, in between the lens and the camera, and then that seems to be taking the data that it's receiving, and then that's feeding it to the lens itself, and it's able to kind of focus the lens here on the side, which is very cool. Yeah. You saw that today on TikTok. Someone used it on a Helios and it was freaking amazing. Yeah. I mean, the guy that I was talking to is obviously a very, very smart guy, and he was involved with this one, but pretty damn interesting. I mean, like for us still shooters, it's not. I mean, it would be nice, right? Especially for those of us getting older and our eyes are going, all that sort of shit. Like, manual focusing is tough. Let's be honest. But for video, because this is moving, right? He granted the bike's on a stand here and that sort of stuff. But as far as I can tell, the camera is moving around there, and it seems to be focusing. I don't know how much of it's sped up and that sort of stuff, but it seems to be relatively quick. So very, very cool. And like Jamie said there, some of the old Helios lenses, beautiful quality lenses. And one of the reasons why people just don't use them is because they're manual focus, right? So it would mean that a lot of these older lenses have a new lease of life. So I don't know anything about like how much this costs or anything. I think it's just in development at the moment. Yeah, he sent it to me a couple of weeks ago, so he really, so it's only just come out. Yeah, so I don't know whether it's like a Kickstarter or something, or products. Yeah, I didn't get too deep into all of this, but very cool. Yeah, I would certainly be interested, very, very interested in that, depending on the price and how adaptable it is. Like, how many cameras can you use it on? Does it, like, how adaptable is this ring? Because I doubt you could have a lens converter here as well, because that would screw up the measurements. So I'd be kind of curious. Yeah. So what Jamie says here, what I saw had linked to the Sony's eye tracking autofocus. Really, Jamie? Yeah, I wonder. So that would only work with Sony's, basically. Yeah. Oh, Anders put the message back. I would never do anything in Evoto that I don't have the skills to do in Affinity Photoshop. So Anders is talking about his mindset with using the AI software. And he's saying that I would never do anything in Evoto that I don't have the skills to do in Affinity Photoshop. Interesting. Okay. But you're relatively, you're relatively skilled anyway, Anders, right? So, when you're saying he wouldn't have the skills, so like just putting just a white background portrait of somebody in like a haunted house at night with blue moonlight coming in, all that sort of stuff, like you wouldn't do that because you don't have the skills to do it. I'm just kind of curious as to what the trigger point is for you. Like, what wouldn't you do? Yeah. Jimmy says, it was just the example I saw. Spectre's not limited to just Sony, or at least at the moment. Yeah, eye tracking. I mean, I guess many of the cameras do have eye tracking now, and there's like future eye tracking. So, like, is it the Nikon Z camera or something like that it takes a picture of where the person is gonna be when the actual file is captured. So if they're running towards you, right, like football player running towards you, like they're coming at a decent clip, and then you take the picture, he's focused on him, but there's a very small delay between you pressing the button and the actual image being captured. It takes into account that they've moved slightly, so it focuses on where they're going to be, which is wild. Yeah, which is absolutely wild. Yeah. So look, I will. I'm interested on this. I need to speak to him some more and see what other details he's got. I'm interested on the cost of that. I mean, it's going to be, I presume, many hundreds of dollars. But in the video world, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I did see this. A couple of you guys sent me this as well. Mind the Color. We've spoken about Mind the Color products in the past. A couple of you sent me this, which is kind of a new product that they've put out, which is the MTC, which is Mind the Color Chroma Warp, and this is specifically a plugin for Photoshop, which is a lot of I think the previous one was that as well. And we had a play with some of the previous plugins from MTC in the past. I think they sent one over, and I had a bit of a play with it on stream, and like super powerful, like very, very powerful. These are very, very powerful tools. These are not for the Evoto users. No disrespect. But this is for people who want a lot more granular control than just TikTok my face for me, respectfully. So yeah, then they put out a video and that sort of stuff. Like, it seems pretty powerful. The previous one, there was this spider chart thing they had that you could kind of pull these around. And essentially what this is doing is it's saying that you can specifically target colors within an image, and it's very, very good at only adjusting those images. So the example they give is like the closest thing is hue saturation. You can go in there and adjust the reds, but it adjusts a little bit of the oranges, a little bit of the yellows, and that sort of stuff as well, right? Whereas this is looking at perceived brightness. So it's like HSL is the normal one. That they've called it HSP, which is hue saturation and perceived brightness. So it's able to look at a hue and saturation value and determine all of the kind of brightness variables and only adjust that. So pretty powerful. Yeah. Hey Paul, how you doing, mate? In the middle of a shoot. Good luck, man. Anything good? Anything exciting? Anders says, I mean, everyone can drag a slider, but if you actually know what you're doing and why, you have a better chance to get good pictures. Anders, I 100% agree with you, right? And that comes to my point about I think if you're the person who has to retouch the image with the bad skin, right? You go, Jesus Christ, it took me an hour to retouch that girl's face. Like, I don't want to do that again. How can I kind of avoid that in the future, right? And as a photographer, you kind of learn the hard way that you go, right, look, I need to change the way that I shoot that so that this is less work for me in the long run and that sort of thing. So, I agree with you, and I think what Terry mentioned it as well, right? It's about a development of style. Like, we're kind of, this AI software is taking away that development of style, like you growing. And look, I know Jake's old guy who's banging on about move with the times, Jake, AI software, saving you time and all that sort of stuff. I get all of that, I do. I just think that if you had to retouch that girl's skin, which I've had to do in the past in the studio, you learn how to take better pictures, right? I'm just saying, right? Because it's just going to be easier for you in the long run. So look, I definitely agree with you, Anders. I think you need to know what you want before you start pushing and pulling the sliders around to then hopefully just accidentally fall on something that looks good, right? Speaking about this, which is why I was kind of a little bit late today, as I was speaking with a good friend of mine. We're kind of talking about this, and people at the top of their game, right? And I was talking to a model a while back who was on a movie set, right? And she was like an extra on the movie set and that sort of stuff. And she was going, "Oh my God, it's just miserable, man. It's just, oh God, it's not fun." Like today, the director insisted that the actor moved the coffee cup from this table to this table like 37 times, right? And look, you can go, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous. It's insane. Like, come on, like that's madness. Just move the cup, get the shot, and like move on, right?" Now, what's going on there really is that the guy who's directing that, and he's seeing that, he has a vision of what he wants that coffee cup moving to look like. Right now, you may seem or think that that's just neurotic and ridiculous and overkill. And look, people like David Fincher are renowned for this, right? The guy behind, the film Seven and Fight Club and all that sort of stuff, and a truly remarkable director. But you just look up, BTS on the girl with the dragon tattoo, and like he's just absolutely fastidious because he has a clear vision of what he wants, right? And what Anders is saying here is that, look, it's all very well you moving the sliders around, but as long as you know where you're trying to get those sliders to, is going to make you a better image maker in the long run, rather than just opening up an image and just moving stuff around. Oh yeah, that looks cool, right? It's you having the growth as an artist to know the difference between good and great, right? And I think that the great artists have an idea in their mind about what they want to achieve, and are single-minded in making sure they achieve that idea, even if it means moving the coffee cup 36 times. Right? I know that's not going to resonate with everybody. I know some of you are going to think that's madness, but I promise you, some of the greatest artists alive and dead today were an absolute nightmare to work with. Not because they're dicks, but because they had a clear vision, and everybody else is, be damned if you get in the way of that. Let's have a look here. We can just, it's only a 2-minute video, I think. Just have a quick look at what's going on here. Tell me if this is too loud.
Hello everyone, I'm Marco Livotto. I'm a photographer, retoucher and trainer in photography and post-production. In this video, I want to introduce to you the latest plugin of the Mind Color family. It is called MTC Chroma Warp. MTC Chroma Warp is a plugin that, unlike other products on the market, introduces completely new features, like working modes that are not available in Photoshop.
Thanks, Jamie.
If I had to explain in a few words what this plugin is for, I would simply mention its name, Chroma Warp. It is used to distort color, not in a negative sense. On the contrary, MTC Chroma Warp allows you to transform one color into another while leaving the surrounding ones intact, even if they are very close to the color you are working on. The plugin succeeds in this endeavor for several reasons, but the most important are as follows. The first is that it works internally in LAB without you having to worry about the intricacies of this color model. And it is well known that LAB is the color model of choice when you have to make big changes on the color. In addition, it uses...
So LAB color there is I very rarely use it, but L stands for the lightness, so you're really just dictating the the brightness, luminance of the image, and then the A and the B are the two color values. We can have a look in a minute. I think it's like red and blue and green and magenta or something like that, just on a curve. But the reason why it's so heavily used is because you're able to do so much with color without affecting the luminance of the shot, right? Which is where we can struggle with curves, right? Because if you're in the red curve and you're like, oh, I want to add more red, well, you're also brightening the image at the same time. So this is why the LAB is kind of favored for that, is because you can make color color adjustments without adjusting the luminance.
Uses a new brightness formula that allows you to achieve far better results than others. The color model used is called HSP, and the P stands for perceived brightness. And the difference compared to the more well-known HSL and HSB models is absolutely striking. The Photoshop adjustment closest to this panel is hue saturation, but the results are demonstrably better and easier to achieve with MTC Chroma Warp. For this reason, I have prepared several tutorials divided into two areas. Those in which I illustrate the principles on which the panel is based, and those in...
So here, for example, he's kind of adjusting this blue, which is like very similar to the other blues, but he's showing that you can adjust that specific type of blue or that specific color without having any kind of bleed effect, which is very difficult to do typically in Photoshop. Like I said, the closest thing is hue saturation. You can kind of do it with the feathering, but yeah, a little bit of a fuss. So,
in which I applied to real cases, showing how we can intervene on photographs, even solving complex problems. All that remains is for me to wish you happy viewing. I am quite sure that you will be very impressed by both the ease of use of this plugin and the results.
So it's interesting, yeah. I might reach out to them and see if they want to send one over for us to have a play with on stream. But I mean, pretty powerful that you can kind of lock in so many different aspects of it. And again, this is people who really want to get into the kind of the nuance of color and kind of play around with it. Like he's got a landscape shot here, you know, that he does a huge amount with. So, you know, again, pretty specific niche tool, but if it's something that you're working a lot with, like landscape photographers, I could see you'd be very useful, especially with so many different versions of green in a shot like this. Like you could really just bring in all these different tones of green into the same one and really just give you a very dynamic and tight color grade without overlaying a color grade on top, which is what color grade normally is, right? You're applying like a wash of color on top, whereas what this seems to be doing is moving the colors in the actual image rather than applying like a color on top, which is what a grade is. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'll pop the if you are interested, then I'll pop the link in there. But yeah, Jamie being facetious about the about the affiliate code. I'm not going for all that again. So yeah, have a look if it's something that you're interested in. I know a couple of you do a lot of color, so yeah, it seems pretty cool. And like I said, working natively in Photoshop like that instantly, like the one that we had before, like zero lag. You know, it wasn't like you're doing something and then you're waiting for it to apply. It was all kind of at the same time, so all the adjustments were in real time, which was very cool. Yeah. I was on the night out trying to sort that out. I was like 4 pints in. Yeah, well done, Jamie. Thank you. So yeah, thank Jamie for the Boris Effects affiliate code, because I'd given up, literally given up. Yeah. I think the link's in there. This is the link here, Danny. Yeah, how you doing, Danny? You good? You been busy? What are you working on? Because you said I think we spoke on Facebook the other day on an image, and you said you were working on doing some more personal shoots, getting back with getting more studio work or something like that. How's that going? I just wanted to bring this up here, this Data Colors New Affordable Spider Express sort of thing. Now, we tried using these in the studio years ago. Does anybody use these? Does anybody use any screen calibrator or color checker on the screen and that sort of stuff? Is it something that you are interested in, or is it like, nah, it's just I don't need to know any of that. If it looks good to me, then that's good enough. Does anybody use these? I will add a follow-up to this. Does anybody use like a gray card or a color checker when they shoot? And I'm just like, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here. I'm genuinely curious as to who uses it, and if you find it help or what. yeah, I'm just kind of curious. So these things, if you don't know, what is this? $120, I think. Yeah, $120. I think Vlad hasn't been in the stream the last couple of streams, but I think he said that he had one, or maybe no. I think he actually got something that was measured the light in the room rather than the screen. But yeah, do you know what? We tried to have it in the studio because we had like 6 machines, and we tried to make sure that every machine was calibrated the same and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a nice idea in theory, but yeah, we still ended up kind of adjusting it by eye in the end anyway, so it was kind of redundant. So we didn't really bother in the end. It was just more trouble than it's worth. You just end up doing it by eye. But I know that if you are working with companies like Coca-Cola, right, and you're doing a shoot for Coca-Cola, and they're like, the red's got to be the Coca-Cola red, right? I mean, there's no it's kind of it's kind of close enough. Red is red. Am I right, guys? Like, no, it's got to be the red. So when you're dealing with precise nuance in color like that, specifically with products, I get it. But I mean, that's not what I do. I'm kind of selling the experience of a product rather than the product itself, right? And that's kind of what editorial tends to be as well. But each to their own. I'm always amazed when I see these new ones come out. Danny says, yeah, good, very busy, shooting a lot. Nice, man. Yeah, gonna set up some new work. As Danny says, so Danny, you use a grey card. So Danny, if you're still here, do you talk me through it, right? So do you always use a grey card, or I only use it if I'm in the studio, or I've always got one in my bag if I'm out doing a shoot, like an event or something like that? Do you just hold it up and just grab a couple of shots at the event? And I presume you use that to, you bring the images back into Lightroom. If you guys aren't aware, that's the reason why you use a grey card, is so that you bring the image back into Lightroom. The end of the shoot, you got 500 images, whatever it is, and then you take your white balance picker, and then boom, you just click it on the grey card, and then you essentially have a baseline value of neutralized white balance that you can then copy and paste across all the other images, right? That's the theory, okay? And like Danny says, that's what he's doing, yeah. So Terry says, I have it but never use it. I used to, but better with gauging color, especially with my monitor. When you say gauging colors now, especially, so you're better at, so basically you're saying you're happy to do it with your eyes. You feel confident enough now that in your ability that you can go, ooh, yeah, that's a bit too green or whatever like that, and you're confident that basically it's not your monitor that's saying it's green. It is your image that's green. Yeah. Denny says, I need the Innova Pro 3 so it checks the light and sets the color balance. It does do that. So what Danny's referring to there is that the Innova Pro 3 is this big old light, and it's got like a little eye in there that you can fire it at something, and you can use the app as well, but you can fire it at something and it will match the color. So it's kind of useful if you're doing a shoot in a pub or something like that, right, and you've got some ambient light there in the background of the subject, right, and that ambient light is maybe like a tungsten light from the bar or something, right, which is nice and orangey, and you can eyeball it. So you've got somebody in the foreground that you want to light with the same kind of orangey white balance, so you can eyeball it. Or you can basically use what Danny's talking about here, is you can point the light at that color, lock it in via the app, and then transfer that same color value from the lights behind to the key light on your subject, right? So, it's cool to have, and this is good for product photography as well, right? If you're shooting a green bag and you want to make sure that the background behind the green bag is the same thing, you can set your phone to look at the green bag, boom, and then you can then translate that to RGB values to the light, and you can have the background the same color as the bag. Like, useful tech for sure, especially in product shots and that sort of thing. Yeah. Terry says, not the Express, I have the Spider 5 Pro. Yeah, I mean, they're all about the same price as well, right, Terry? Like $100 or something like that. Yeah. So it says use it for headshots and events. I actually do it in different areas and indoors and outdoors when shooting those events. Yeah. So okay, Danny. So you are doing it properly. So when I say properly, what I mean is I often see photographers who just get the grey card out at the start of the day, right? And like they'll be in the reception room or whatever, and then they just never use the grey card again. And they've moved around, like they're outside, and then they'll be upstairs in the bedroom, or they'll be on the dance floor and never use it again. So really, you should get that grey card out. It's not to calibrate your camera; it's to calibrate the environment that you're in. So really, and like what Danny's saying there is kind of wherever he moves, like a new room that he moves to, or like the daylight changes from noon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you should really shoot the grey card again. Yeah. Andre says, I always have a card with my gear, but I do have a settings I use always. So that's interesting, Andre. So you said you always have a card with your gear, so your grey card with your gear. I'm getting the impression that you don't use it though. You have it if you need to use it, but you're saying you tend to stick your camera. When you say your settings on your camera, you go, I love to shoot in 4700 Kelvin. That's my favorite Kelvin. I lock it in on that. Is that what you're saying, or like run me through what you mean by that? Your favorite settings, yeah. Yeah, exactly that. I'll check on my phone after a few hours to make sure I'm still seeing things correctly there. Okay, nice. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, but what you're saying here is that you're doing your retouching, boom, 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 sat down for a few hours working on the images, working away, and then maybe you'll send a couple of these finished images to your phone, and then you'll check how they're looking on your phone, right? Which is a great tip and a really good advice. I'd recommend anybody to do that. And this helps to keep you both you locked in, in kind of what's going on, because maybe it's getting darker outside, it's getting brighter in your room, or because the ambient's on, all this sort of stuff. So it can really help to make sure that the brightness values as well, right? Especially if you're staring at a screen and then you look at your phone and it's like, iPhones are really good. Like you can crap on iPhones all you want. I get it. I have my issues with them as well. But the iPhone screens are really, really consistent, right? The colors on them are really good, really crisp. So if you're ever kind of like, oh, I don't know, God, is it too green or not? Send it to your phone or something like that and have a look. And it's a really good like second screen to kind of just give yourself either double check, or usually be able to tell if it's too dark or too bright, something like that. Yeah. So Andre says, yeah, if it looks way off, I use it. Okay, fair enough, Andre. Yeah, okay. So what Andre's saying there, he has it in his bag. If he's shooting, it just looks. If somebody's looking a bit green around the gills, then yeah, something's going on. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. When shooting clothes for a catalog, it's the color of the items you look for being on the money. Yeah. The AD or the assistant director or client is the one that calls the color on the day. Really, Andre? So you have okay. So you let them. I mean, that's safest. Yeah, if you're letting them okay that. So it's like in the corporate world or commercial world, it can be a pain. A good friend of mine, Wayne Johns, he used to be like the studio manager for Next, right? At like major fashion house here in the UK, and as with all online stores, like one of the biggest issues they have is returns, right? And the biggest reasons for returns is it doesn't look like it did on the screen, right? It's always going to be the response. It didn't look the same color when I put it on as it did on the screen, right? And we've all seen the was it gold or was it silver meme from like a decade ago or something like that. And his kind of job was to ensure that the whole process was kind of as locked in and as tight as possible. So, making sure that spending, huge amounts of money on proper lighting, making sure that everything's calibrated and locked down. But at the end of the day, it's still a guy who has like the clothing in like a day box, which is basically like a box with daylight lights in it. And you would look at that clothing, and to my knowledge, it's still somebody at the end that makes the adjustments. So, like, does it look like that on screen, right? Does it look, I need to add a little bit more green, right? So I kind of find it odd because you can have all these things in place, right? All, like the proper lighting, the grey cards and the calibration and the spiders and all this sort of shit. You can have all this in place. bottom line, though, it comes down to a human that goes, "Ooh, I need to add 5 more green." So I think you can rely on this stuff as much as you want, but I still think that it's got to come down to your skill at the end of the day. I mean, Andre's got it sweet here. He lets the client sign off on the color on the day, which is great, right? That means you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, if they want to add plus 5 green, crack on. Yeah, it's not up to me. Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. Yeah. In the old days, I had a printer say I shot the film of color. I told the client to look at the film as if she could see the color was okay, and the printer that I've done. I worked in a photo lab, straight out of art college. I worked in a photo lab, and one of my jobs in that photo lab was dealing with poster printing, and this thing was like the width of a room, right? Massive rolls, and it had like 16 inks in it or something like that, and it was the bane of my life trying to calibrate that thing, because you got these 16 inks and they all got to be lined up, making sure that everything you got the right color profiles and all that sort of stuff. I do not miss that, and anybody who can deal with color profiles and all that sort of stuff, which just sounds like you were doing as well, Andre, hats off to you, because that can be misery. The reason I'm kind of being a bit flippant with it is because everybody sees color differently. Your idea of what this blue looks like is going to be different to mine or the person next to you. It's going to be pretty close, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be different. Like when we're born, we see the world kind of with a little bit of a blue hue, and then when we're pretty old, like the world gets a bit browner, right? There's a lot more warmth in it, and our eyes, will kind of have different color casts, if you like, the older we get. And like color is this fascinating just perception, like color blindness or whatever you want to call it, where people see colors differently. Like that's the only kind of disability that we would call that you have to be told that you have, right? Because if you're seeing this blue and it's like kind of greeny to you, like it doesn't affect you in any way. This is the world that you live in. This is the only color that you're seeing. I can't come to you and say, no, that's not green, that's blue. Like it doesn't mean anything, right? Because your world is only using those colors and that color palette. So I kind of find the whole color blindness thing, or whatever you want to call it, like a weird, because it's not blindness. You're just seeing colors slightly differently to the person next to you. And the only reason why we say that this is blue and not green is because more people agree that this is blue and not green, not the other way around. So color is this fascinating, just very ethereal thing that we all have in everyday life, and yet it's very, very difficult for us to kind of drill down, because it's impossible to drill down. It's different for everybody. Speaking of like kind of measuring the world and that sort of thing, I saw this on DIY photography the other day. I thought this was pretty cool. So this thing is like, it's a little like a little color meter reader thing, right? Look at the size of it. It's just the size of a lighter, right? So a tiny little thing, and it's what's the price of this? So $200, yeah, or 150 euros. Oh, that's Canadian, yeah. Okay, it's got a little thing here, yeah. Kind of. So tiny little thing. It's got. Let me just gonna mute this. So this is just a typical light meter. He's just basically talking about the world is filled with color, filled with light, and we need to measure it. So we got the EV, we got the shutter speed, we got the F number, and it also measures Kelvin there, just giving you an idea of the size and the lux and that sort of stuff. This thing is pretty cool. Reason being is because I know I've just slagged off the fact that you can't really measure color in any way or brightness, and you should just use your eyes and get on with it. Something like this gives you a very useful idea of the color and the brightness in the world around you. You're basically building your visual language, which I find super useful for training people, right? I'm able to look at a light and go, oh yeah, that's maybe one stop underexposed to what it needs to be, right? Just through experience. Or I'm going to look at something and go, yeah, I need to add like maybe 1,000 Kelvin to that just to warm it up to kind of neutralize the blue in that. That's your visual language that you're kind of getting over time. And little tools like this enable you to kind of know what's really around you. So if you're outside or something and you go, I mean, it all looks pretty neutral to me. You can go, oh, actually, it's 5600 Kelvin out here, right, to give you a gauge, right? Or you're inside and you're going, it's pretty warm in here. Like, what is this? And you bring it out, and it's like, oh, 3500 Kelvin, that sort of thing. So it helps. So like little tools like this can really help you to kind of learn and see color and exposure in the language that we're used to, right? Which is Kelvin or F numbers and ISOs and that sort of stuff. So yeah, very very cool little product for sure. Yeah, curve analysis as well, like flash times. So it can even show you the flash curves, which is wild, right? So I'm very interested in this little thing. Yeah, super nerdy, but yeah, check it out if you're interested. I think it had a Kickstarter. I think it's being made or something like that. Yeah, very cool. I had an opportunity to go to school and get a degree in colour from L'Oréal Paris. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I was a colourist who I was a hairdresser in England some time ago, like when I was a ladies hairdresser. Look, I've done scores of hair shoots over the years, Andre, as I'm sure you're aware. And yeah, I mean, a lot of L'Oréal colour competitions and that sort of thing. And I have learnt over the years just to kind of accept it, right? Because what I mean by that is, if what the client wants the hair to be less red or more red or something like that, or they've added color and purple to it, and I'm like, that's not real or whatever, like, it's up to the client at the end of the day. But that is an interesting background there, Andre. Yeah. Put it on the Xmas wish list. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is it like a waiting list or something? What have they got here? It is now available. What is, like, that is Canadian dollars, right? What is that in what did I say it was? 200 quid, mate. That's easy money all day. Yeah. Or 145 US freedom bucks. Okay. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I hope that it does well. I think it should do well. Yeah, remarkable little thing. I think you can charge it up via the USB cable and stuff there. He's also got like a focus as well, so I think you can point it at something and it'll give you an exposure value of the designated area. Very cool. Yeah. What is it with you and affiliate codes? Everybody tonight is giving me shit about affiliate codes. Oh man. Yeah. I have to send this to Vlad actually, because I think Vlad will be interested in this. Yeah. A couple of bits, nothing crazy. It's just the Polaroid is still banging away. They're bringing out these new products, doing a collaboration with I think Thrasher magazine. I find it ironic that something like skating, which was very anti-establishment and anti-corporation and stuff back in the 90s, back when I was doing it, it's now got its branded Polaroid camera and stuff. I just find it odd, very odd. Yeah, it's like Gucci coming out and making skate shoes. You just be like, please don't. But hopefully they make some dollars off it. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, Nikon actively developing dedicated Nikon cinema lenses. So I saw this story a while back. And I was like, okay, interesting. Nikon is actively developing dedicated Nikon cinema lenses for the company. While it may take a bit before it's for the official launch, the company confirms that it has identified optics that the cinema industry needs, and it will deliver them. So I was like, okay, bit of a nothing story, and then I see this right later on, or I think this was announced beforehand, but anyway. So the Nikon ZR is its first Z cinema camera made in tandem with red. So those of you who have lives may not be aware that Nikon actually bought red, right, which is the big cinema red cameras, so huge. And at the time, it was like, what on earth? Like, red is this like huge cinema powerhouse, makes incredible cinema cameras that like the industry, you know, just fawns over, and then Nikon just out of the blue comes out and buys them. So weird. And at the time we were all like, okay, maybe what we'll start to see is we'll start to see some of the red tech in Nikon cameras, right? So some of the video from red being brought over into the Nikon cameras. And I'm sure we will, but I certainly wasn't expecting them to make their own cinema camera, which is wild. Yeah, so so some of you guys may be like, oh yeah, I knew this was coming. This was totally shocked me. Nikon has announced its first cinema camera, the first of a new Z Cinema series of products. Technically, Z-mount, V-Raptor, Komodo, first cameras, but these were just remounts designed specifically for filmmakers. The full-frame Nikon ZR. Okay, so the ZR is described as an ultra-lightweight, 1.2 pounds, full-frame video camera that offers class-leading capture and workflow features, some of which Nikon says have never been seen before at the camera of this level. So, like, I'm sure I don't need to kind of illustrate to you how small this is, right? This is a lens, and you can kind of get an idea of the size of it based on, you know, like we know how big these switches are and that sort of stuff. This thing is tiny. This is just wild, yeah. We aren't holding back. Our first Nikon camera developed with red has all the creative controls that filmmakers need, with features never been seen at this level of handheld cinema camera. Which, yeah, I would agree, yeah. The Nikon ZR is the camera that will challenge the established video market and will demonstrate Nikon's commitment to advancing the tools available to video production professionals. You know, it's like it looks great. It does look great. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting here. See this switch here, photo and video. Interesting feature to have. I mean, many of the other cinema cameras obviously don't have that. I think there was a couple that there was a couple of medium format, like larger ones, which were beautiful, that had the ability to shoot stills, but it was kind of scuffed. It wasn't really designed for it and that sort of thing. So this, I'm kind of interested to see what comes out of this. Because remember, you've just said they're making these specific lenses, right? Which they in here, I mean, I don't even know whether they kind of reference it, but we'll see. So Nikon, like, you know, like it gets shit on you know, Instagram and online for being this kind of a meme of a camera brand. But look, I don't care who you are, you'd be hard pressed to not accept and acknowledge that what Nikon has been putting out with their mirrorless cameras in the last couple of years has been good. It really has been good. And this is another step. You know, I don't know, like many of us here don't shoot video at this level, but very impressive to see them making strides like this. The ZR has a noticeably small body design, yeah, no shit, which is made even more impressive given that it can do all the fact with no fan. So there's no fan in this thing, so it's that size, no fan, which is typically what makes so many of these other cinema cameras so big, as it has this, you know, monster fan in them. Nikon says that the camera has efficient heat dissipation and thermal management design that not only decreases the noise and enhances battery life. So this is true, right? So a lot of the time with batteries and how quickly, you know, these cameras gobble through batteries is just due to the amount of heat that these things emit. So interesting. And obviously no noise. Again, most of, if not all, the noise from cameras comes from the fan, but also improves durability since there are no points of ingress. Again, huge, right? So no holes inside, which a lot of these things would have. If you've got a fan, you've got to have a hole to let the heat out. So again, impressive. Yeah. Nikon claims that the camera can record for a very long time without issue. We got to see what that means. Like, what does that mean? 10 minutes? 30 minutes? You know, we got to see what that means, because when these things heat up, you can start to see a degrade in image quality. Pixels can start to do weird stuff. Like years ago, this has not been a thing for a while, but years ago you'd get kind of dead pixels as they like overheat and just turn red or something like that. So, you know, I can't believe that's going to happen here, but it is a concern when you put so much power into such a small space. You keep it enclosed and encased, so, you know, like no ingress, like they said, no fan in it. Like, very skeptical, but impressive if they can manage to pull it off. Yeah. The camera features a magnesium alloy chassis, same found in the Z6 III series, which is great, which means it is meant to withstand pro-level wear and tear. Don't know what pro-level means. Nikon's, so it hasn't got like an IP rating, essentially, as of yet. Nikon says its commitment to filmmakers is further noticeable thanks to the camera's controls, a new filmmaker-orientated UI with familiar menus, a new quick menu for filmmakers, and customizable button placement. So you can go, I want the aperture here or whatever, or, you know, focus and that sort of stuff. So fair enough. Pretty standard here, nothing crazy. Uses really parallelly stacked full-frame sensor. So the ZR uses a familiar partially stacked full-frame sensor found on the Z6 III with the ZR camera cord up to 6K. So the stacking means that it's essentially tricking the size of the sensor, right? So like this is good and bad. Personally, for me, I prefer an actual physically large sensor because that means that your depth of field and the way the bokeh is rendered and focusing, all that sort of stuff, like the larger sensors give you this, in my opinion, far richer, more beautiful image. But if you just want raw like stats, right, in terms of got to shoot 6K, then you know this can kind of trick it by using this stacked sensor. You know. 12-bit RAW internally is also the first camera to use 12-bit RN3. I don't know what RAW, not really too sure what that is. With the new RAW format, this is meant to be familiar with the red code RAW users. Okay. So here we go. So this is some of the red tech coming over. Yeah. Hey Sterling, how you doing, mate? Yeah, nice big kit. Yeah, yeah. Unless Andre, you were talking about something else, but yeah, it's pretty impressive. By leveraging its broad 15 stops of dynamic range. So, like, I think the GFX is something like 11 or something. I could be wrong, but I think 15 stops is definitely juicy, right? As a huge range. I mean, that's like broad daylight to night vision practically. It's just huge range. Yeah, it achieves well-balanced image quality from highlights to shadows, supports log, exposure standards, colors consistent with the red color sign. So this is where it kind of gets juicy, right? Because this is what these guys are known for. So it's very interesting. And look, I shoot Nikon because of the Nikon color they already have. So I mean, look, if they say it's going to get better, then that's nuts. Yeah, you know. With true red color tonality, skin tone integrity, and tonal roll-off. And again, these are all things that cinematographers use the red camera for these things. This is like, you know, you're buying the red tech, and to see Nikon implementing it, in my opinion, so quickly into a new camera like this, pretty impressive. Yeah. The ZR has two bases, ISO 800 and 6400, but ISO in the red NE files, fully adjustable in post, just like red camera raw. So this is, you know, not an issue for film, video, right? Because it's a moving image. So this is why you see far higher ISOs in video, and we kind of don't really think too much about it, right? Because it's a moving image. The grain and the noise is constantly moving, and it's a very large, you know, image to begin with. So these higher ISOs, not really noticeable in video. When we start talking about stills, right? So this, you know, this to many of you in chat here would be like, what, the lowest ISO is 800. Yeah, we don't have to see how that translates to a still image, yeah, which is their saying that it can do. ZR has no electronic viewfinder. Nikon did juice the rear LCD. Yeah, okay, yeah, true. So it's just the screen. Okay, interesting. So if you want, I suppose you'd have to buy the viewfinder separately. Okay. There's no lag and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's not only large at 4 inches across, but it's bright enough to use in direct sunlight. Sure, yeah. There's built-in support through 2-bit float audio. Additionally, ZR is the first Nikon camera to come with a digital accessory hot shoe. Okay, so interesting. Is it? That's kind of weird. Okay. ZR is the first Nikon camera to come with a digital accessory hot shoe, which Nikon says enables two-way digital communication between the camera and compatible accessories, allowing for advanced functionality such as tally lamp and microphone LED control. Interesting. Okay. I mean, if that's true, this hot shoe tech could well find its way down to stills cameras, right? Interesting. Okay. Nikon says it plans to collaborate with third-party accessory makers to offer the range. Okay, so they're not just going to do you're not just going to shaft you in the Apple approach and like, oh yeah, if you want to use our microphone, and it's going to cost you $8,000. Yeah. On that note, Nikon announced that the MD shotgun mic, new digital accessory shoe, requires no batteries, built-in shock mounts. Okay. So here we go. Got it there. What black magic is that? Like the ZR boasts 7.5 stops of in-body image stabilization. Like how? That's wild. That's crazy. As well as Nikon's AI autofocus technology driven by the XPED 7 engine. Look, I still shoot DSLR, so I'm not plugged into the latest camera tech, but what is normally, like how many stops does a Sony have of image stabilization? Like that seems like a lot. 7.5 is like huge. Like you could shoot at what, 1/8 of a second here and it'd be stable. Is that like this is crazy. Yeah. Maybe even more. Like if you go over a quarter and then you go what, 1/8, 15th, 30th, 60th, 120. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like something like a quarter of a second or something is wild. Yeah. If you have 800 ISO, I think you would have to have a lot of filters to get that down for photos. Okay, so this is the thing, Andre. Yeah, this is kind of new to me, and how they manage that, because you're absolutely right. And with video, they're dealing with frame rates, so they would go, okay, we can manage the exposure of this by adjusting the frame rates and all that sort of stuff, and lens and that sort of thing. So what Andre's saying there is like, what do we just need, like 4 stops of ND to bring that down, so that I could shoot it, at a reasonable shutter speed or whatever. I guess, I mean, if you're shooting ambient, which a lot of video is kind of nearly all ambient, right? So it's either LED or hot lights. So hence why the ISO, like the native ISO on video cameras, is notoriously high, right? For us still shooters, especially studio guys, like we're used to 100 ISO and that's it, right? Because we're using flash, which is super bright for a split second. So this is why video and ISO is typically a lot higher at the native, so that you're not, shredding the noise and the, when you're trying to accommodate for these ambient LEDs and that sort of stuff. So that's why video cameras are set so high. So to your point, it is interesting. Is there internal ND, or you would just go, well, I guess I just shoot at the lowest 800 ISO and then I shoot at 0.002 of a second, right? Because if I'm shooting LED anyway, it's not an issue. Or if you're shooting flash and you wanted to use this, you would just have to use HSS. But it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Or just get the background out of focus. Yeah. Or yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, so what you're saying there is like, if I want to shoot f1.2, how do I shoot f1.2 at 800 ISO? Again, you would just do it with the shutter speed on here. That'll be my guess. But it would be far safer to do that rather than using ND filters that could introduce color shifts, as well as another piece of glass in the system and that sort of thing. But you're right. It's surely not designed for photo. But I am hesitant as to why they have this switch there, unless they have some internal way to knock it down. Yeah. As Leo says, before I started photography, I shot video on Blackmagic cinema camera, which had a base ISO of 800 as well. Yeah, you really get used to it with NDs. So with the highlight roll-up is generally way nicer. Interesting, Leo. Okay. Good bit of advice there. So what Leo's saying there is he was using Blackmagic, which again, base ISO 800, and the camera that I can't remember what it's called now, but it was a medium format, sensor in a video camera, and people were shooting stills on it and they were saying it was beautiful, but the same issue again with the brightness values. I think somebody shot like a wedding on it and it was gorgeous. And what Leo's talking about here, which is interesting, you really get used to it with NDs. So he's saying you use NDs, and the highlight roll off is generally way nicer. Okay. Yeah. So that's something that we don't talk about too much, Leo, in stills. You talk about highlight roll-off. I think I know what you mean in terms of how it blends from white point to mid-tone. But how would you describe that? Why would you say, or how would you quantify nicer highlight roll-off? Like, how would you quantify that? The new Nikon ZR cinema camera will be available in late October 2025 for 2200. Additional kit configures will also be offered pairing with the Nikon Z50mm 1.8 lens 2.7. Yeah, okay. Do you know what? I did not get down to the bottom of this article before we went live. That's the first time I've seen that. I am blown away by that. In fact, that's kind of wild. So better specs than the FX3 at half the price. No active cooling though. Yeah. That's the thing with the no cooling and the heat dissipation, like recording for long times. I mean, there's no way they're releasing that camera without doing tests, for Christ's sake. Yeah, but yeah. Interesting. Yeah. This camera has a 2-hour limit, so it's not for long form capture. 2 hours is loads though, right? Not quite like Sony though. The more recent bodies of the A did it way better. We got a Sony boy here. Nikon's do overheat over time. Both Z6 and Z6 III, which are my primary bodies, and Sony overheat, especially 4K content. Okay. So I guess it depends on what you're doing with it, but I mean, for most people, 2 hours is going to be fine. Yeah. Interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to follow that pretty closely, because that's coming out like next month for like $2,000. That's wild. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. And look, again, I will move on, but I'm really surprised that we're seeing the results of this Red purchase, that they did. When did they buy Red? Does anybody know? Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that long ago, right? It's a couple of years ago. All right? It's crazy. They really pumped that out. Yeah. Okay. The opposite end of the spectrum, we have Fuji and the GFX, right? So those of you who don't know, GFX is Fuji's medium format digital camera. Beautiful camera. I love that thing. It's definitely on my Christmas list to get. I think, rather than going mirrorless, full frame mirrorless like the Z or the Sony, I think if I do switch up, it'll probably be to the GFX. So I was kind of interested in this. Not really relevant to many of us, especially when this thing is like $16,000, but it speaks to the character of the tech that they're putting in these GFXs, right? Because if it's good enough for this end, that tech will be in the medium format cameras as well. So very interested to see what GFX is doing. At 55, Fujifilm was announced the medium format cinema camera. It's only been slowly teasing over the past year. It'll be called the GFX Eterna, sorry, not Etna. Eterna 55 will feature a huge list of recording formats. Codecs will be priced at $16,500. So look, it's not going to be for many of us, but again, what I'm saying is it speaks volumes to the tech that Fuji are putting into these cameras, right? Because to a certain extent, a lot of this tech will filter down to the stills bodies as well. Yeah. And I always said that the GFX sensor and the lenses that the GFX lenses, I forget what they're called, but like they throw a very large circle of image, right? And I've always said that those lenses throw a far larger image onto the chip than the chip is, right? So the chip's here, and then like the lens circle is like big. So I've always in the back of my mind thought that Fuji would keep the lenses and then make a larger chip, like a larger medium format chip. It's kind of what I've been holding out for, because as much as the GFX is a beautiful size chip, it is only marginally bigger than the 35mm. So it's not hugely obvious that it's medium format, right? I think I got some shots here from years ago on the GFX. So I mean, like beautifully crisp images for sure, right? Like beautiful, absolutely pristine images if you're into that sort of thing. But you don't look at this and go medium format. Whereas if you were to look at a Hasselblad shot like this, you would go medium format, because that's to do with the size of the chip, yeah. So, but beautiful camera nonetheless. I mean, you can't argue with the quality on this, Look straight on Instagram. Yeah. So again, one to keep an eye on with Fuji and GFX doing that. Yeah. Flat light in the highlights. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one, right, Andre? It's like, how do you kind of, how do you really explain that? Yeah, because of the log curve, you generally have more data in the highlights with higher ISOs. Filmmaker IQ did a great bit on that. I'll have a look at that layout. Okay, and that is interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. And you guys have spoken, and you guys have heard me speak about this before with color and exposures, and most of the digital chips that I've ever worked with really struggle with the far extremes of the color spectrum, like reds and blues, right? So, trying to think of, did I share an image? Yeah, I did. Yeah, recent article. This one, right? This one here, right? So this is using like extreme, like full, like max red, right? So however you want to call it, 0 hue or 356, whatever it is, hue, right? And it was like cranked all the way. And when you're shooting reds like this, you've got to be so careful that the saturation doesn't clip. So whenever I shoot reds like this, I always underexpose by at least a stop to ensure that red highlight has all the data. It's far easier for me to raise up the shadows, right? Because I know that digital cameras have no issue at all raising up the shadows. There's always tons of data in the shadows, but digital chips really struggle with maintaining highlight data in extreme colors. So this again, like Anders was talking about this earlier on, about having the skills beforehand, knowing what you want rather than just shifting the sliders around and using a grey card and all this sort of stuff is all well and good, but it's experience at the end of the day that tells me that I need to underexpose this image by a stop, at least, knowing that I can bring it back and knowing that I want to maintain that data in the reds, right? And that just comes with kind of experience. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that one. So Godok's new Cob Light promises 4K HMI brightness using half the power. So this was really one of the only kind of lighting or lights that I saw being announced recently. And this is kind of a bold statement, and I can't find any huge information on it, because I was thinking that maybe it's just magnifying, like it's got a magnifier on the front, and it's going, look, rather than the light being spread out, we can double the light by focusing it into a tube, right? Which is what other lights have done in the past. It's fine, but it's just kind of interesting that they are saying that there's a spread there, 63 diameter spread, decent spread, so it's not super focused, and it's saying that no extra components needed. So like you can see the chip here, it's not like it's got a magnifier on there. So if what they're saying is true, in theory brighter LEDs are possible, right? Now this is only white light at the moment, so no LED bicolor chip on board. Light promises to deliver brightness comparable to a traditional 4K HMI while consuming only 2000 watts of power, half the energy typically required. The unit weighs 22 pounds, 10 kilos, so it's a beast, and without the yoke, making it lighter and easier to rig than conventional 4K HMIs, which is true, yeah. plus IP65, which means, you know, full rain, anything apart from submerging it, good to go. So the MG 4K, God, Ox and their namings, man, Jesus Christ. 63mm light emitting surface is designed as a near point source, producing even illumination when paired with a 15-degree reflector. God, it says you can achieve up to 36.7 times higher illuminance than its native output in an open face mode. So again, they're using the modifiers to kind of focus it in. So look, I would need to see this further, whether it's just marketing PS, or whether they've kind of done something funky here. Pretty interesting, yeah. I think digital chips seem to be a bit like shooting transparency film. So what Andre's saying there is film used to have like typically C41 or color film used to be like a couple of stops of latitude, right? So you could kind of underexpose it by a stop, and you could bring the image back, and you could overexpose the image by a stop, and you could bring it back. Digital cameras, like we just looked at there, had like 15 stops, right? So film typically has an inherent contrast, right? So when people go, oh, I love the look of film, it's typically because film is inherently contrasty, right? It has this rich contrast, and contrast translates to saturation, so images look richer. Whereas digital, like every Netflix show that you've seen, has like 15 stops of latitude, right? It's just dead flat. So there's tons of data in the shadows, tons of data in the highlights. It can be very confusing to look at. Where am I supposed to be looking? And what Andre's saying here is that transparency film was like half a stop of latitude. So you really had to nail it. But if you did nail it, you were rewarded with a gorgeous colors, because the transparency film, or E6, is very contrasty, which gives you this very rich saturation, which is why a lot of clients insisted on stuff being shot on transparencies back in the day. Yeah. So I wouldn't say film is, I wouldn't say digital is like transparency, Andre. I would just say that it has certain, like it struggles with at the extremes of colors, you know. I would say like most digital cameras probably have around 8 stops. That would be my kind of ballpark guess. Like four stops to be safe. I remember when I shot with the GFX years ago, I was in the studio and the flash didn't fire, right? And as a test, I was like, okay, the flash didn't fire, so I'm just using LED modeling bulbs, and I was able to get a usable image from that frame where the flashes didn't fire with just the LED modeling bulbs that was clearly like heavily underexposed. So the GFX latitude is wild, yeah, absolutely wild. So yeah, this is a very, very bright light. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Like I said, it could just well be, you know, certain companies have been known to be generous with their wording or how they phrase things to, you know, grab some headlines. So I am skeptical of this, but if they've managed to get some sort of tech in there with like magnifiers or lenses somewhere in the chip, so that they're able to do all of that before it leaves the head and still get this 63mm spread, rather than have to see. Yeah. But can it be easy to work like a neg film in post? I mean, yeah, exactly. And this is the issue, Andre, that we have this, in my opinion, this very flat style at the moment, this cinematic style, or the Netflix look, as I call it, and like it is cool. I'm guilty of it as well. I am super guilty of it. I'm not saying I'm not, you know, because it is like it's almost a bit of a flex, right? Where, let's have a look, like here, right? Like this is a flex. Like this is a stylistic flex from me going, I'm able to achieve this. This is worst case scenario, having to illuminate something that is basically black on black on black, right? And not only that, but fabric that has no reflective qualities. This kind of black matte stocking that she's wearing, and I'm able to light it in such a way that we're able to get all this data from it but there's no blacks in here, right? Like there's no contrast. Like you couldn't shoot this on transparency. It would just be this. It would just be a black blob. So look, I think there's a time and a place for it, but you know, I'm guilty of this very flat style as well. You know, like here as well. This is beautiful. I mean, look at the, you know, without blowing my own trumpet, but this is the dream, right? To have just this beautiful data in the colors. Just, you know, this is like platinum blonde hair, white hair. I think Wibbly photograph this girl in a minute. You can see what hair looks like, but you know, just pure white hair, and then to see just the complete spectrum of color within that and in the skin as well. Like it's tough to not be, you know, drawn in by it. I am guilty of doing it, but at the same time, it's like I do miss the contrast of the film days. Yeah. Twixter made it. How you doing, Twixter, mate? How you doing? Chips have got so much better now. As you said, you can have a lot more stops to the images. They are so much better now, Andre. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, like you said, like transparency being very contrasty and like half a stop. I remember having to shoot 5:4. I was going to say tranny then, but you got to be careful. 5:4 transparency, and like it's expensive, right? It's time consuming and expensive, and you know, you are just light metering the living shit out of that shot to make sure that everything is correctly lit. It's not just, oh, just whack a light on here and, you know, don't worry about the shadows, we can pull that out afterwards. You can't. You know, you're using 5, 6, 8 lights because you don't have the data in post or in the final transparency to be able to push and pull that, right? We use dodge and burn now, you know, in Photoshop, but years ago you would have to do the dodge and burning with, you know, with lights. And I've spoken about this before, but like some of the OG Playboy photographers were absolute masters, right? Where they would use, you know, 30 or 40 lights to light a scene because it had to be done in camera. And I spoke to you a moment ago about Evoto and using AI retouching to fix that, like that girl's acne and that sort of stuff. Like, you can do a lot of that with lighting, right? And you can do it with what are they called? Like, basically makeup gels, glamour gels, basically colored cosmetic gels, where you are basically finding skin tones, right? So if somebody used to have redness in the skin, you would use a skin tone gel to basically wash that subject in one skin tone color, right? And that kind of and that negates the need for, you know, a lot of the issues with redness in the skin. But like that's a lost art. Like, nobody does that anymore. Are you crazy? But it is something that I've thought about doing with LEDs, because you can do that now with LEDs, right? So I have some old cosmetic gels here, which are just beautifully very delicate colored gels that are like skin tones and that sort of thing that you would apply. And I was thinking about basically replicating those with RGB values, which is what I did for my RGB presets in the Rotalights. So when Rotalight came to me and was like, Jake, we want your gel pack in our Rotalight lights as a preset, what I did was I went away and shot my gels right against the white studio wall, put black velvet wall in between it, right, and then I put the RGB head to the other side of it, and then came back with a camera and then shot them simultaneously, right? So the flash was firing my color gel, and then I was dialing in the RGB values on the right hand side until the two colors matched up. So that's how I was able to get those color presets. So in theory, I should be able to do the same thing with cosmetic gels. I should be able to shoot cosmetic gels against a white wall and then line them up with the RGB values. It might be interesting to play with that again. Yeah. Great shots, you master what you do. I've just been doing it a long time, Andre. Yeah, but thank you though. Yeah. At Playboy, they would have a contest to see who could use the most lights on a centerfold. Is that right? I didn't know that. That's hilarious. Yeah. So Leo says some cheap China Speedlight gel pack has one skin tone gel in it, and I used it by accident. Totally lost art. It looks strangely awesome. It is lost art, Leo. It really is, and it's something that I've kind of thought about for the last few months in the back of my mind as a project that I kind of want to dig up and reinvigorate, kind of, because I mean it's like I'm just not going to be, you know, a major thing because we have Photoshop and color toning and color grading, all that sort of thing now, but you know, you can just fix it in post. But it would be an interesting skill to kind of dig out and play with and reimagine with LED values. You know, RGB values could be cool. Yeah, but like you say, it's definitely a lost art. Yeah. Just getting to the end the bits here. We're just the finalists of the 2025 Abbey Road Music Photography Awards. This was kind of cool, actually. Some really good shots in here. Definitely worth having a look at. I know a bunch of you shoot music or stage or theatre stuff, so you know, definitely worth having a look. Some of these are really cool. Yeah, especially a lot of them where they're kind of at the event or on stage. Like, that's wild, man. I mean, that's a very cool shot, but like it's more of a fashion shoot than anything else. But yeah, some really cool shots here. Definitely worth a look if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, because a lot of these guys are trying to do it, you know, literally live as the performance is happening. Losing my voice, getting too excited about color again. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, take a look. Speaking about judging and photo competitions, I've been asked by Capturing Wow, which is the Indian, like a major Indian photography awards thing. They've asked me to judge the competition later this year, so that'll be interesting. What do we got here? Jury? Is that me? Should be, yeah, there I am. Look at that. How dare you say that photo is old? So like, yeah, I mean, yeah, so the judges last year had some big names last year for sure. I think Peter Hurley's there as well. So I was like, okay, give it a look. So we'll see what the what this will turn into. I'm hoping it's not going to be days and days of judging thousands of images, but I shall certainly keep you posted on how that goes. So just wrapping up here then, we did a chat with Renee Robin from Boris Effects. She came on the stream a few weeks back now and kind of took us through the power of Boris Effects. A bunch of you had already used it and played with it. They have a demo free trial as well, and very, very powerful piece of software. So they're used for like major motion picture, but they also have one for us stills guys over here, right, which is the optics version. A bunch of you already use it and have played with it. Check it out. They have a demo that you can use it for like 15 days or something, maybe a month or something like that. If anybody's done it, yeah, free trial there. Let's have a look. I don't know how long you get it. I think it's a month or something, but I could be wrong. But yeah, you get to trial those. And if you are interested and want to kind of sign up for it, then by all means use this link, which is an affiliate code that will get you a bunch of money off. I forget what it is because I'm a terrible affiliate, but it will save you money on all of them. So I tested it. I think Wibbly's tested it. Jamie's tested it as well. So it does work. If you have any issues, speak to Jamie. But yeah, it works on all of them. So they have a subscription model. You can just pay monthly, or you can just buy it outright as well. So by all means, use that affiliate code to save like 15% or something. Yeah, something like that, or 20%, something like that. Yeah, 15 days. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah. I'm not taking a new headshot of you. Come on, Jamie. Come on. That's a good point. You could do it. You think I need to wear like a full latex suit, or you think I could do it without that? I know how much you love using those tubes. Yeah. But yeah, if you missed the live stream where Renee was showing us what this could do, very, very powerful piece of software. So if you're at all interested in post pro, whether it be adding effects or like doing cosplay work where you're kind of adding in very stylized and dramatic effects like lightning bolts and snow and all this sort of stuff, then this is the software that the big boys use. So yeah, so even if you have no intention of kind of forking over any cash, download it 15 days, try out. It is a bunch of fun. Yeah, it is. It's good stuff. Yeah. You only get a discount once you check out. Also, make a note that because it's an American site, it does add sales tax on top. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, it's all good advice from my manager there. Okay, it's just kind of close out the news section. Last week I kind of spoke about this kind of style that I was playing with. A lot of I've been messing around with LEDs, as opposed to flash and that sort of thing. And one of the things that LEDs kind of allows you to do is shoot ambient, right? Makes sense. And whenever we shoot ambient, we can shoot with far longer shutter speeds and just kind of play with it a little bit. And this shoot I did a little while ago now that I just did a article on, which I'll show in a second, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And essentially all I'm doing is I'm using two lights, and I'm using this kind of mirror tree, as I've called it, to then fire lights into with different gels over the mirrors and that sort of stuff to get this very, very, very cool effect. Oh, here you go. Actually, we were just talking about this. Infamous Playboy photographer shares his 44 light setup and states, "I like to shoot with available light or every light available." Right. So like you can see, look at the mess in there. Right. This is a lost art as well. People are used to shoot like that. This is before skin retouching, right? So you were photographing a girl completely naked and you needed to make her skin look amazing in camera. This is a lost art. This is unbelievable what they used to do. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can see the setup here, right? So you just got like a hard light over here firing into these mirrors, right? And I've just got a fill light here, which I can change the color of, and get these very kind of wacky, very wild effects. And the reason I'm bringing it up was because I had a ton of fun doing this, because I think I got some BTS down here as well. Yeah, you see the bits here. So here you go, yeah. So you can see here, right? So I've got all sorts of crap, on the mirrors, because the light is over here. I'm just firing. I mean, you can fire coloured light into it if you wanted, but I'm firing white light into this, and then I've got different coloured gels, clipped over parts of these mirrors, and then what we get is this kind of resulting kind of abstract, very kind of wild lighting effect. But this was a ton of fun to play with, right? If you guys bored one weekend and you want to get super creative, and I called it jazz lighting, right? Because you can't really predict what's going to happen here. You just get this out and you start playing with gels on these mirrors and moving these mirrors around, the models moving around as well, and it was just check some of these out, right? So just getting these, just covering half the mirror, part of the mirror with different colors, mixing gels and all that sort of stuff, and then bouncing all of this back onto the subject. And it was a ton of fun to play with. Yeah, ton of fun to play with. So what camera setting speed did I have here? I think I had the camera settings up here. So I was shooting. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So shutter speed, anything from 15th to a 50th, f2. ISO 30 to 64. One of the other reasons why I love the Nikon so much. So yeah, if you want to have a play with this and do it, man, it is a lot of fun. Where's this? Why is that? I don't know why that. Maybe I grabbed it from Facebook or something. Yeah. Then have a play with that. Yeah. Very Very cool. And it's not expensive. I mean, like the mirror tree thing that I made there is the most expensive thing. And that's just for convenience as well, right? 'Cause you need to buy the arms and then you need to buy the crab clamps. So like these are, so each of these are like, so £19, and you get the crab clamp with each of these, right? And I think I messaged the guy on eBay and was like, look, if I'm buying 5 of these, we do me a deal, and he did. I think he threw in one for free or something like that. So it's like it's not super expensive, but look, very creative, very fun, and kind of different to the way that we would typically work, right? Where it's just like, I must have the key light 45 degrees, 2 feet away, make sure that the lighting ratios are all the same. This is kind of letting go of all of that and just seeing what comes out. Very, 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 very fun way to work for a change. Okay, so Sins here, so it's about 33 quid for the main license, so 117 total. Jamie's going monthly, Amy, very nice guy. Like the tree, it's good, man, isn't it? Yeah, it's good. Amy, is this her real name? Is this because I only know her as Irina, which may be her model name. Yeah. Okay. So check that out. Is anything else? Anybody see anything else? Any products released the last couple of weeks that they thought were pretty cool or interesting, or that I didn't cover, or I should take a look at? And look, I'll be honest. Most of the time, it's not because I don't think it's relevant. It's because I just don't see it. So Andre, to your point earlier on about latitude and dealing with colors and that sort of thing, this is where digital really helped with the latitude, right? Because I am definitely abusing the large latitude range of the digital sensor here, because with the mirror tree, and I'm only using basically one light. I mean, I'm using a fill light here, which is the blue here, but all the other lights on her are coming from one light. So I can't manually adjust the exposure of each of these mirrors, right? So all the colors and the exposures of each of these were fairly different. So, this is where digital comes in and really helps out, because the digital, I'm able to kind of, force them into the same, because this is white light here and then this is red light here. The red light was probably like a stop darker than the white light, but because I'm using that digital sensor with that latitude, I'm able to kind of bring them back in line. So like certainly cameras with a lot of latitude make this a lot easier. I mean, you could shoot this on film, but it would be way more contrasty than it is here. Yeah. Sort of a gobo, if you like. A gobo is a gobo is going to be structured in that it's all coming from the same point, so it's kind of difficult to get much variety with a gobo. And the issues that I have with gobos is they always look like gobos, right? Like they are cool and they have their place, but whenever I see photographers using a gobo, it's like, oh, they used a gobo. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's about just trying to break out of that kind of fixed look, if you like, just kind of to get a little bit more randomness. Paul says, I've been playing with something that's a couple of years old, the Lensbaby Omni. Yeah, that thing. That's the metal disc with the magnets, right, Paul? Right, so because they sent me that for review. In fact, weird story, they sent me the prototype of the Omni years ago, and in fact I still have the prototype here, and it's like, because they gave it to me at one of the photo shows, and it was just given to me in like a glasses case. It was like the CEO of Lensbaby's glasses case, and in there was tissue and like some broken crystals, like super glued onto sticks. So they gave me like this prototype to play with, And it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. I think I might have reviewed it. Omni. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, there you go. They did the expansion pack as well. Yeah. So this is the proper system that Paul's talking about here, right? So you got the metal ring that goes onto your lens, right? Your lens thread, and then these balls here are metal balls, and then these are magnets, right? So you can adjust them on the on the metal ring, and then it covers the lens, right? So you're kind of shooting through these, yeah, and you kind of get these kind of foreground effects. Yeah, so tons of fun. The only issue I had with it was focusing, right? Because normally if you're using crystals, like you're shooting, right? You put the crystal or whatever it is, or the prism in front of the lens, and then you know after you focus. So normally like you focus and then bring it in front, take the picture, focus, put it in front, take the picture. But with this Omni ring, the issue that I had was it was just fixed on the lens, right? So it's really difficult to focus. That was kind of like the only downside to it. Yeah. Yeah. They did a expansion pack as well. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How old is this, man? That was like 5 or 6 years ago. Okay. That's the expansion pack, yeah. Good times, man. Yeah, look, you can get some crazy stuff going with it. I'd forgotten about these. Yeah, these are cool, man. Look at that beautiful color. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I'd forgotten all about these. Oh, check that. That's nice. I don't know what the hell that is. Never find out. Must have been one of these. Or maybe it was that one there or something. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'll pop those in there if anybody's interested. You having fun with it, Paul? Yeah. Can't believe I just showed you my history there. I must be losing my mind. Irina is back in the UK for a week at the end of the month. I think she still has some open slots. Yeah, Irina is great, Chris. Yeah, Irina was a phenomenal. So Chris is talking about the model that I just showed you with the mirror tree. Yeah, she's absolutely phenomenal. And to her credit, like that is one of those times where you as a photographer go, trust me, bro, like because you look like an idiot setting this up, just draping sorts of torn bits of gels over this random mirror tree thing and going, this will look awesome, trust me. But she really lent into it because the kind of the abstract lighting, you can't just do normal posing with it, right? So she was great. Yeah, really good. You could have used hairspray over the ones with the white light to take it down. Could that work? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So diffusion. Yeah, here you go. Look at this, mate. I got it all. I've been doing this a long time. So what Andre's talking about here is you just pick up like a cheap UV filter, yeah, for like a few quid, and then just get some hairspray. I just grabbed this from Amazon for like a couple of quid, and then you just basically spray it over this filter, hold it away from you, and then spray it up in the air, let it come down. You get this kind of effect on it, and then before and after. Check out, that's wild, man. Check out the glow from it. Like here as well, right? Before, without the filter. Look how glowy the Nikon is, even without the filter. It's hilarious. And then with the filter, yeah. So yeah, you just here you go, yeah. So without and then with, yeah, you just get this kind of cool flares. I presume that's what you mean, Andre, but obviously correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, check that out. Tons of stuff to play with, yeah. Just trying to be more creative, but all in camera, not in post. Exactly, Paul. Good for you, mate. Eye autofocus fix it from. You fancy pants with the eye autofocus. Yeah, absolutely. That would definitely fix the issue of having to focus recompose. You know, like us old farts. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad that fixes it. Very cool. Yeah. On the mirror. I don't know whether you would see it on the mirror, Andre. Like, you would. It would soften it a little bit, but I think you would. I think you'd have to add a lot of hairspray to the mirror to kind of knock it back. They use something in cinema. So they use, I forget what it's called now, but it's a special spray that they put on mirrors, like so. Which, like, you see it in horror all the time. So there'll be mirrors, and in the background, it's completely matte. Like, the mirror is not reflecting light, and it's because they've put this. Oh God, I forget what it's called now. But it basically spray that you spray over the mirror, and it knocks it back. It looks like you've got a sheet of tracing paper over it. So that would do it, Andre. Yeah, that would definitely do it, because that's kind of thick enough. But I can't for the life of me think what that spray is called. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's get cracking and get backache sitting here for so long. I might have to switch to the standing desk. Old man problems. Right, let's give us a quick refresh. We'll go over the images you guys have been working on. Let's see what we got. Let's have a look. So newest. Did I see Paul was most relevant then? Most relevant. Oh, Paul, you made it, mate. Most relevant. According to Meta. Love to see it. Okay. So what we got here? That is Sadia Wibbly, right? I think that is, yeah. However you say her name, yeah. Okay, so we've got one from Paul here. Let's have a look. This is looking good, man. This is looking really good. This was something new for me. The 8400 behind the model. Smoke machine behind the model. Strip box in front. Split diopter on the lens. This is awesome, man. This is really cool. And the fact that you've done it in camera, love that. So those of you who are not aware, split diopter is almost like a lens that like a magnifying lens, but like a half cut of it. So you see here where we've got like where the body is kind of magnified at the bottom of the lens, and then where you can see where the diopter ends, it kind of goes up into this, which is her in focus. This is really cool, and the fact that you did this all in camera, Paul, love this. Absolutely love this. Yeah, really good, really good. Love the color grade that you've gone for. You've really lent into the like the warm color grade. She's wearing this kind of red one piece here, and then you've kind of lent into the warmth with the skin as well. Very cool. Yeah, this is good stuff, man. Good stuff. One thing that I personally prefer over the diopter is the tilt shift lens, or in this instance, like the lens baby edge. If you don't have that, love that thing. Yeah, absolutely love that thing. I think I did a couple of them, but yeah, this is super old. This is back in 2017, but this edge is outstanding, right? I can't zoom in on that because back when I was making the website, I don't know why I didn't make it so I could click on that. But this thing is razor sharp, so sharp, and you're able to get stuff just knocked out of focus like very smoothly. I don't know whether I've still got the image at the bottom here. I might do. There you go. So I think we'll wait for that to load. There you go. So this is all in camera. So this is like the edge. So the eye is in focus there, so crisp, and then this is completely knocked out because of that shift lens baby edge. So very cool. Yeah. Oh, the old D610, I think that was old beast. Yeah, look how sharp that is though. Yeah, and the lenses are not expensive. So that's just personally. For me, that's what I prefer over those diopters. But this is a great way just to throw it on and play with it, especially seeing as the edge is like a manual focus lens, and it takes ages to focus it and that sort of stuff. This is very, very quick and easy to put on, but very effective. Yeah, really, really cool. I think he did a good job with the smoke as well, to actually look legit, as opposed to smoke that's either just billowing and just thick or just not everywhere. So I think he did a really good job to kind of have it everywhere in the space. Very, very cool. I love this. Yeah, good stuff. And again, like the final color grade on that is good as well. A little bit of Tony love. Hey, warm the old cockles. Anders here had a shoot last weekend with a model, and this was one of the setups we did. Key light is an optical snoot. Those of you who don't know, is like a lens on the front of a light which focuses the beam, so a very, very hard light, with a blurry pattern to get some dappled light. So is that, I don't know if you're still here, Anders, is that like a gobo to get the blurry pattern, or have you just hung a pair of knickers over the end to get that effect? And I say that in jest, but we have certainly hung a pair of knickers over the light to get this kind of dappled effect. Softbox with a magenta gel as a fill and a teal gel strobe on the white background. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, love this. Love this. So I spoke a moment ago about gobos looking like gobos, and this doesn't. Like, this looks like dappled light. So I'm not sure what Anders is using here, whether it's a gobo and he's just knocked it really out of focus, or whether he's just kind of put some stuff in front of the lens, in front of the optical spot. We would often go outside and like just pull like a branch off the tree, right, and then just hold that in front of the light, and that would give you kind of like a similar effect as well. But yeah, this definitely doesn't look like a gobo, which in my opinion is what you want. You want it to look kind of textured light, but without it being, you know, obvious. So I think this is very cool. Yeah. And it's a gobo but unfocused. Nice. Okay, so he's knocked it way out. That's best of both worlds. If you're able to make a gobo look legit like this, like you've actually got something, you know, in front, and yeah, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you have to do quite a bit of post on the background here to smooth out the colors? Sometimes it's just the nature of the job, especially when you're shooting full body like this. But yeah, very, very cool. Yeah. Did this turn out in the end as you envisaged it, Anders? Is this like, oh, this is the idea I had in mind, and boom, I managed to achieve it, or were you just kind of playing with it on the day? One tip with posing and stuff here, it looks like she's doing it anyway, but if a model is sat on the edge of these on a stool or something like that, get them to sit on. I think Anders has done it well here, but yeah, always just get them to kind of sit on the edge so that the butt cheek creates a curve as opposed to being flat. Just always keep them on the edges of these seats, just to make sure that the body is looking, you know, clean curves and stuff. Like it a lot though. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So Anders says, yeah, I reinforced the magenta parts of the background. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't calling you out on that. I was just speaking from experience. I know that I know that it happens, especially when colors mix. You know, colors, when two colored lights mix, they can sometimes create other colors. Blue and purple is usually pretty good. These blues and magenta colors actually just tend to gradiate pretty well. But you know, if you're kind of interested, I can show you. If anybody's curious, I did do like a cheat sheet here. And here it kind of shows you what colors you get, right? So I don't think we had, yeah, so there you go. So blue and magenta there kind of mixes nicely. If you go like red, if you go like red and blue, you get kind of like this pink color. That's cool. Red and cyan kind of neutralize each other, right? And then you get kind of these weird ones down here, like red and green gives you yellow, like some real weird ones when you're overlapping color. So sometimes it can be useful to use like a cheat sheet like this. If you're going, oh, I want to add a couple of colors to this shot, I know that they're going to be overlapping and maybe a gradient in the background. Until you get used to what these colors are doing, this can be kind of like a useful cheat sheet to kind of have, just to refer back to. So Tony says, trying to compose with the best of all worlds while still being my own creation. My cosplayer is real. That needs to be said nowadays. It's true, Tony, it's true. The main street is a 3D model rendered by me in Blender. Damn, Tony. Okay, I see you. Damn, that's looking... Jesus, really? Tony, you've been keeping that skill pretty quiet. What the hell? I would never have known, that wasn't real. That's wild, man. The Main Street 3D rendered in Blender. I'd love to get good at Blender, but the people were added using Nano Banana because I don't have any 1930s clothes meshed. So this is the thing that Jamie was talking about. This is the thing that we chatted about last stream. We were playing with this Nano Banana thing. So what Tony's clearly done, I presume, is, I know Tony's not on yet. Tony is in Australia. It's like 6 a.m. for him. I presume what Tony's done is given Nano Banana this image of the 1930s background and said, can you add 1930s people walking on the street? That would probably be my guess. So he's given it this background image and then it's added these people, which is wild how effective that is, if I'm right. And then he's just shot this on top. Yeah. My only feedback here, Tony, is I would just say we just need to be, tighter on color grading this foreground dude to the the same colors in the background, because we got some nice rich kind of greens and stuff in the grays and shadows here, which I think is indicative of the time, giving you that nostalgic vibe. So I think the background grade is good. I just think we need to kind of apply that same grade to this dude in the front. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, very, very impressive. And when you get up in a bit and watch the stream, do let us know if that's how you got those people in the streets back there. Very cool. I got one from Terry here. Nice, I didn't see this before, Terry. Oh yeah, I did it 2 hours ago. Okay. I see you coming in late. That's all right, mate. So Terry's got 2 lights set up, leaning into the golden hour. This is awesome. There's good stuff. AD 300. God, Godoc's making some money on those ADs, man. Hey, who hasn't got an AD? And an AD 200 basically on the same axis with the orange gel to fill. Both bare heads. Okay. This year experimented with gels outdoors more, and it's been a learning curve. Okay. This is looking good, man. It's looking good. So 2 lights set up, leaning the golden hour. 8300 and 80 basically on the same axis with orange gel to fill. Let me grab my brush. So let's look at so this is in the background, right? And we've got the sun coming up behind her here. Now my guess is, looking at this, is that this is the rooftop, right? We got the model here, and my guess is what he's saying is he's got a light back here on the same axis as a light here. We've got a little bit of light from behind, maybe, or like when you say on the same axis, like what else do you mean? But otherwise, look, I think you've done a great job of balancing these out, and like the warmth that you've added here in the light on the skin looks good, man. Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah. Now literally side by side. Okay. So we've got, so not this one back here. So we've got one here, which is, or maybe even further around, because I'm looking at the nose shadow. So come in here, and then one, I don't know where that other one is, because we've only got one shadow here. Yeah. Both bare heads. A bare head would give you a strong shadow. So I'm just kind of curious as to where that is. Yeah. Maybe there's one in the front here. Either way, looks good, man. However you did it, make sure you know how you did it so that you can recreate it next time. Slightly in front, closer to me. Okay, so yeah, so round here. Okay, gotcha. So here, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and then you're here. Okay, yep. Okay. How'd you get on this roof? Is there a ladder, or is there some sort of, is this like, this roof looks remarkably clean. Did you brush this up, or was it taking ages of retouching? Yeah, I don't know if you still see the catch light. Yeah, baby, yeah. Look, it's just interesting to know. But as long as you know, Terry, because whatever you did here is nailed it. You've got tons of data in the shadows here, which is nice. Like the hands aren't being lost. The background is nice and dark. We don't, nothing's distracting back there. It's not, it's not correctly exposed, and it's not dominating with the subject. The subject is very clearly outlined against the background. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah. Nice to have a little, pop of flair coming in here. Getting Boris effects, get that pumped up. Yeah, really good. Yeah, and like I said, I like the fact that you kind of lent into the color grade here as well. Yeah, good stuff, man. Kind of sus on this floor though. I got a feeling that must have been a nightmare. So Raz, this is wild, Raz. This is crazy, because I mean, I'm kind of tempted to go back and see. I'm sure it was the previous live stream or the previous share a shoot. You shared some images. I'm pretty sure it was you. This was the previous share a shoot. I don't know, maybe it wasn't. I'm convinced that you shared one and it was like very good, or like huge improvement. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So we have had your work in the past. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm determined to find it now. Just super curious. Yeah. That was a big share shoot. 38 comments. That was wild. Yeah. Here it is. It is you. Yes, I thought it was you. So this is your previous gel shoot that we spent some time going over and giving some feedback on, right? And then this is where you are now, which is like what, a month or something like that. It's fucking wild, man. Huge gains. This is just like massive difference. Like check that. It's nuts, man. Yeah. So Raz, so back then, like a month ago, right? Just under. First time trying the type of photography, totally loved it. Inspired by the goat, Jake Hicks used 2 RGB panels, right? So this was him last time. He spent a little bit of time going over some feedback, and then boom. That's nuts, Raz. That's huge gains, man. You're absolutely, really, really impressive. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Second time at Creative Color Photography. Second time. 2 newer LED panels to rear of model, gelled, beauty dish at front. Nice. I've concluded this is a tough style of photography. I don't know, man. You seem to be getting it under control. Found how to tweak the colors in Lightroom to achieve the look in mind. What tips do you have for getting this right in camera? Oh, the truth's coming out now. So this is a complete mess in camera. Not sure if the honeycomb was narrow enough, and the beauty dish was the studio's quite a big one. Okay. So yeah, without seeing the raw, it's difficult to give you feedback other than look, this is looking good. Things that I'm looking for though when I'm shooting this, right, is I'm looking for a nice even bead of light, kind of pretty much all the way around, right? Which you kind of got there, with like we're seeing it here as well. You kind of getting it, right? The other thing that I'm kind of looking for when I'm doing this is these nice kind of tonal changes in color, right? So we have highlight that fades off to shadow here. So this beautiful highlight, right? This highlight fades off to shadow here. And then what I'm looking for, right? If you want to get super fucking nerdy about it, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for this shadow, highlight. I'm looking for that range. Yeah, always looking for that range. Now what I want to happen here is I want this highlight to start fading off into shadow before the next highlight kicks in, okay, which is what you've done, which is good, man, because it's like it's tough, right? Like that is it's tough to do, And that's the whole premise of the lighting. That I mean, like, you can just choose any of these. They're all kind of doing the same thing, right? So highlight, and then it goes off into shadow before it hits the highlight again. Yeah. So kind of more moody here because I've got a colored beauty dish here and then a colored fill as well. This one as well, right? So talking about this bead of light going around can be difficult when the model is doing very kind of big poses like this, but to try and have this bead of light going all the way around is key. But yeah, so this highlight, see it drops off in the shadow before it picks up the highlight again. So what you're doing is right. Yeah, you just got to kind of capitalize on that. So the only kind of problem area that we have here is this kind of pocket of shadow down here, right? I love the exposure up here, nice tone. Even like it's fine to have the legs slightly darker than the top, but just watch out for this kind of dark pocket down here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, otherwise, good stuff. So I found I had to tweak the colors in Lightroom yet. It's a tough style of photography yet. Not sure the honeycomb was narrow enough. I'm trying to work out where the honeycomb is. Where's the honeycomb on this? Not sure the honeycomb was narrow enough, but the beauty dish, I think the beauty dish is good because the beauty dish is giving us this beautiful, or A is giving us these nice catch lights unless you added them. But we're getting these nice highlights on the face here, right? And getting this nice highlight here, which is great. I'm just trying to work out where the honeycomb is because the LED panels on the sides are doing the colors, right? Yeah. The beauty dish, when you say quite a big one, the one that I use is 22 inches RAS. That's the perfect beauty dish size you want. No smaller, no bigger, 22 inch, right? If you go any smaller than that, you've got to be careful that the diffusion comb doesn't result in you having a dark pocket in front when you bring it in too close, right? And if you have any bigger than that, then it takes up too much room and you can't shoot underneath it when it's in a, when it's in front. So the 22 inch is the sweet spot. That's the size of the beauty dish you want for your key, and that's the one that I would use like 90% of the time. Yeah. Oh, you had the honeycomb on the dish. Gotcha. Okay. So it's going to be dependent on the size of the beauty dish you've got. So the only, I mean, yeah, you could use it, and again, without seeing the BTS or the RAW, it's difficult to judge. But if she's facing this way, your camera is over here, right? If the beauty dish is in close, if it's in close enough, you shouldn't need the honeycomb. But if your beauty dish is like back here, right, and it's spreading light everywhere, then yeah, you're going to need the honeycomb. So in theory, if you've got a 22-inch beauty dish and you're bringing it in like arm's reach away from her, so if she puts her hand up, it should just be just out of reach to her, you shouldn't need the honeycomb. Yeah. Hopefully that helps. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I think you're doing fine. Yeah, I think you're doing fine. Yeah, that's wild, man. That is fucking crazy. Yeah. See, look. I mean, somebody listened to me, and shock horror got better. Like, wow. Just imagine. Somebody finally listened. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So Wibbly here, older shoot with a couple of softboxes, how to play with the Boris optics and put the gobo effect in post. Thanks for discount code. Okay, so Wibbly here is just kind of playing around. He's got his Boris effects set up now. Finally, after I got my act together, and he's playing around with the gobo effect in there. So one thing that's kind of interesting on this that may not be immediately apparent to those of you looking at this, but one thing that's really interesting that the Boris effects does is it kind of puts these displacement maps in. So it essentially works out the curvature of the subject based on highlights and shadow, right? So you can see here the gobo is wrapping around the model, because Wibbly's just done this in Boris effects in Photoshop afterwards, right? So this Venetian blind effect is all done in post, but it's looking at the shape and structure of the subject that it's on, and it's kind of wrapping it around her, which is like, you know, it's a pretty powerful tool, because otherwise in Photoshop you would just normally just, you know, and it would just be slapped on top and that's fine, but it's actually looking at the highlight and shadow in the image underneath. Yeah, very cool. And Wibbly always does a good job of colors. We've got this nice mix here of magenta and green, which always go nicely together. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. So let's have a look. Jamie posted some images here from the Nano Banana stuff. I think Jamie's probably having his supper. So okay, so I think this is the image that he gave Nano Banana, and I think if Jamie's still here, correct me if I'm wrong, he said make the model like covered in poison ivy and stuff against the city and that sort of thing. So just a couple of just a couple of sentences, maybe even just like a sentence worth of description from that, like from this to that, using Nano Banana is wild, man. Right, it's crazy. Like these are wild times, man. These are wild times. Right, we've got another one here. So again, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong if you're still here, but you gave it this and said turn her into Catwoman. Like, I'm sorry, man. You are not telling that. Oh, weird, it adjusted the whip. The offset is tweakable. Okay. So Wibbly's talking about this. So the offset. Oh, okay, Wibbly. So you're saying that you can adjust how much of a wrap this is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I need to get in there again and play with it. I literally to say that I scratched the surface, I think was being generous. Yeah. As Jimmy says, it was the most basic instructions, nothing elaborate. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah. So this is the image he gave it. Turn and then make her look like Catwoman. I mean, sure, like you could maybe tweak the whip here to connect it up a little bit, but I guess no, there's no way you're telling and going, oh yeah, it's fake. Yeah, I can see that you've AI'd that catsuit on. It's crazy, absolutely crazy, man. And like you're saying, Jamie, it took you what, like 2 minutes? You just put in like a couple of sentences. It's not like you're, I mean, because Wibbly or Sin here in YouTube, I think you use Midjourney a bunch, right? And you know, it can take you half an hour to get kind of what you want through the prompts and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is just so quick now. But again, you know, what Sin is doing with Midjourney is he's starting from like a blank canvas, whereas what, you know, Jamie's doing here is giving it an initial image to kind of work off. But like it's working out the lighting and everything here. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah. I was just playing around. My mate was in the Photo Goes, all the Comic Cons. Yeah, it was about 1 minute. Crazy, man. Yeah. So again, this is the Nano Banana thing from Google. If you guys haven't played with it, then yeah, go for it. Just get AI to retouch your images, and you know, then you can add them. Once you've got Evoto to retouch your shots, you can get Google to dress them up for you. I don't know, man. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know. Yeah. I'll say this about Nano Banana. Further instructions don't really work. Better to get it right in the first instruction. Yeah, when I was playing with it on stream, and to be fair, I am terrible at this prompt thing. My brain isn't wired up for this. You know, I was saying to Jamie earlier on, I'm not like creative enough to work it to its full extent. I'll like add catch lights to the eyes is about the extent that I will give it. But you know, if you've got the imagination to play with it, I mean, like Tony has been doing tons of stuff. So Tony up here, when he's playing around with like this, right, like super elaborate yeah, he's made this, and then he's really using it to its fullest potential. In my opinion, he's given it this 3D render of a 1930s New York, and then he's got it to fill it with, people walking around in 1930s clothing. I mean, that's genius idea. I mean, it would be a huge expense to get this done, and that's a really good use for it. Really really good use for it. I'm just not wired up that way. Yeah. Not verbally creative, yeah. That's very generous, Jamie. Yeah. So we got one from Alan here. It was inspired by Penny Dreadful and Eva Green. Okay, yeah. This was shot in my lounge. Nice, using a backlight with a blue gel, a smoke machine, a medium softbox, and kicker light. Okay. Alan, I love your creativity in the in the space that you have, and I think some of these limitations that we have with space or equipment and technology can help us to grow and learn, right? So I think sometimes having these limitations can make you better. When I was in the studio years ago, we had bugger all in terms of creative props and modifiers and that sort of stuff, and it forced us to be very very creative in the studio with not much. So I certainly commend you for achieving this in your lounge, which typically here in UK and Europe and that sort of thing, low ceilings, right? Not huge spaces. So yeah, fair play, man. Good stuff. Let's be looking at the light from behind. It's looking good, yeah. See a little bit of edge here. Nice, big, and again, like black satin or whatever it is here can be tricky, but we've got this nice beautiful big highlight here, which is probably from your kicker. Yeah. The smoke machine I take it the smoke machine obviously didn't set off the fire alarm unless you pulled the battery out. This is good stuff, man. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Very nice. This is again that when we were talking about this example of like flat imagery or lifted shadows and and kind of crushed highlights as well. And this is one of those things where I'd be interested to see a variation of this where there was a little bit more contrast. Maybe play with a bit more contrast in here, because you have the data, right? So you can crush it in post and get away with it, right? Because you have all the information here. So it might be nice to play with that, crush it down a bit, get some contrast in here, and then start playing around with some stronger color grades. Maybe just add some extra warmth in here. Could be cool, something to play with. But great shot, Alan. Yeah, and again, congrats for doing it in a small space like your front room. So Lennart here, projectors are getting really cheap these days, so I wanted to try my luck with this little beauty, set up incorporating a flower image from this €120 Amazon projector. Okay, rather standard lights, otherwise blue LED and the octabox above the camera, 2 pink LEDs and the tube either side. Next time definitely want the projection to cover larger pieces of the body, glowing tattoo of sorts. That could be cool. Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, adding it for that. Yeah, this is really good stuff, Lennart. Yeah, and the projectors are so slept on, man. They just honestly, I mean, look, I'm not going to turn this into an advert, but it's like you can do so much with them, and just, I mean, look, all this, and like Lennart says there, they're not expensive. I would avoid the Amazon ones that tend to be the LED ones that can be a bit shitty on the colors and the brightness, but even so, you can spend 150, 180 quid secondhand on eBay and get a very good resolution one. Like, you can do so much with them. Absolutely wild. Yeah. Obviously, if you're interested, check out my Art of Projection workshop online. The blatant plug, but this is a great shot, isn't it? Yeah, really, really good. I like you thinking about new ideas as well as to how you can develop it further. Yeah, playing with projectors and the pixels is one of the biggest issues, but it looks like you've managed to avoid it here. I think maybe because the image is quite small on the face. As soon as you start using it large on the skin, you can run into the pixel issue. But it looks like you've managed to avoid it here, which is good. Yeah, very, very cool. This is the sort of image that you would see, right? You scroll and this would definitely catch your eye. Right? So you would definitely stop and go, oh, wow, that's interesting, right? And I think that's a huge quality that we should be looking at in images today, is really trying to catch somebody's attention, and this would definitely do it. Very, very cool. Yeah. Hopefully you start playing around with this more. Than I think it'd be cool to see where you could take this. I love this idea. Definitely want a projection to go cover large pieces of the body like a glowing tattoo of sorts. I could see that working. I could see that being cool for sure. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Is this you, Lena? Is this you, Leo? Is this the same person? Cheap projector lens also helps because it's not sharp enough to show the pixels. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder. You could be onto something there. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it could be. I know people have thought, you can just defocus the projector and that gets rid of the pixels. It doesn't. Like the pixels are just more noticeable. But the lens thing could be right. It is you. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah. So you already come from. You said earlier on you come from like a video background. So you're obviously used to this sort of visual tech anyway. Yeah, very cool. We got one from Chris here at the end. I felt in the mood for some rock styling on my shoot at the weekend with Jessica Wilcock. Oh, well, Jessica, yeah, okay, she's still going. That's good. Wanted it low key. Is she still modeling, or is she doing something else now, Chris? I've always meant to. I worked with her years ago. I will come back to Chris. I just want to see if that image of Jess is still on the website, because I know they get pushed off the bottom. Yeah, no, it's been pushed off the bottom a long time ago. Yeah. Wanted it low key, as if she stepped out of the shadows to do a guitar solo. Okay. Standard 5-light Rotalight setup. 2 AOS in front on white. Okay. With the clamshell set up, 2 at the back on each side. So we got maybe the reds back here. We can see something back here. Yeah. There's headlights and 2 neo on back facing forward to light the smoke. Okay, so that's lighting the smoke there. Okay. I matched the red lights with her hair color. I noticed that. I thought that was a cool touch. Yeah. With 85mm 2.8 ISO 100. Yeah. I may have bought the guitar for the. Isn't that a Jackson V? Isn't that expensive, Chris? That's a proper flying V, no? I can never have enough guitars. Oh, so you are a guitar nerd. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, as long as you use it. Yeah. I mean, that's practically a business expense, right? Yes, she is still modeling. Jamie says, yes, she's still modeling. Shot her for the thing I did. Lol. Okay, cool. Where's she based? She based up north for you guys, is she? Yeah, no, I photoshopped Jackson logo on it. Chris, I mean, fair play. I didn't notice, but fair play to you. Fair play. Yeah, he's done a good job of that. Yeah. Let's see, we got anything in here. I'm just kind of curious is there any... Oh, also, just while I'm here, old man rants at clouds. Like, Photoshop, what is this shit? Like, do we need all of this? Like, can I not just... Can I not have it smaller? I just want the old ones back. Anyway, let's see. I don't know, man. I'd be tempted to bring out more. I think there's so much in here, Chris, that would be. I think there's so much in here that would be a shame to. I mean, and I'm obviously working on the low resolution JPEG, so you would have more in here. I think you could afford to bring this up, man. I really do. And you can still have the contrast. We don't want to go, to the 15 stops of dynamic range situation. I think you could still have the contrast. I really do. But I think it would be nice to just see just a touch more in here. I think there's a lot going on here that would be cool to see. Yeah. I think you could do it for sure. Yeah. Yeah, the JPEG, there's nothing there, but yeah. It's a cool shot though, man. And her hair is looking awesome. Yeah, I would be tempted. I would be tempted to go back and bring it out. And look, if you wanted, you could send it over, or we could do it next stream. I could have a play, see what we could pull out of it. But I'm pretty confident there's a ton of detail in there from the lighting that you've set up. And the reason I say that is because I can see all the highlights are in the right place. So like, I'm pretty sure that all the light is like, we've got this nice highlight down here that fades off the shadow. I can see the lights are in the right place. The face is well lit, considering she's like looking down. Like, that's as good as the face is going to be when it's looking down. So like, I'm pretty confident all your lights are in the right place. I would just be really tempted just to see if we can squeeze out just a touch more, right? Because I think we could see, like, if we could just see the edge down here would be cool, Yeah. If you wanted next stream, I'd be open to having a look, because I am intrigued, because like I said, it looks like you've lit it properly. We just need to see if we can pull something out of that. I'd be interested to see what's in there. Very great shot though, great shot. I love that, like the red and the black and stuff is definitely there. Yeah, can do it easily. Yeah. No, photo Dex logo on it. Crew, she's in crew. Okay. Treasures and highlights of the image. You're absolutely right, Jamie. You would do, but I think in that JPEG there was nothing there in the exposure thing. Yeah. But it's just too rock and roll. I agree, Chris. I agree. Like, I think you could have the contrast. Look, like it's a very different vibe to Alan's shot here, right? Which is not like that. This is kind of more whimsy with the smoke, and that I totally get that. I'm not saying you go that far. I think you could definitely do the contrast. But yeah. You can have the old adjustments panel back. Just click on the, there we go. This is what I wanted. You want the old adjustment panel back. Just click on the lines to the right of the adjustment and choose classic layout in here. There's no, in here. Let's have a look. Modern view, classic view. Oh my God, a legend. Well, absolute legend, right? Do you know what I mean? I do these streams for free, but sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes streaming for free, it makes it all worthwhile. Leo, thank you, mate. That I can finally have more room. There we go. Oh, look at that. It's better already. What a legend. A legend. Old man shouts at clouds. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Good stuff. Look, I'm good at lighting, right? That's where the skill ends. Good stuff this week though, guys. Good crop of images, all pretty much studio work as well, right? And even Terry took the studio outside here. I would say Tony looks like he shot him in a studio as well, so good stuff. All good, like good colors as well this week. Good color grades. Everybody's got a firm grasp of color as well. Yeah, I think we can tighten up this one, Tony, but otherwise this one as well. Like, a lot of you guys are leaning into color, and what I mean by that is you're not using a gray card. Is what I'm getting at, and I love to see it. What I wouldn't want to see is, I wouldn't want to see a gray card in here and then this just be ruined, right? I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see a gray card being used here and this just getting ruined. So when I was speaking about these color tools and that sort of thing and earlier on, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Sometimes these color tools and that sort of stuff can kind of strip the personality out of some of these shots, right? So I think it's useful to learn how to use those tools, but there's a time and a place for it. And look, I'm not having a jibe at Danny here, because Danny's doing professional work, events where people don't want to look bright orange. I totally get that, but I think there's a time and a place for it, and it's great to see you guys kind of leaning into these colors, which is good stuff. Good stuff. All right then, I think we come to the end. Just getting out, just coming up to that 3-hour mark. Time for a bit of dinner. But there's anybody's got any last minute questions, I'm going to go stand up and stretch my back. Getting old sucks, man. You young kids, get a standing desk as soon as you can, right? Worth the money. And if anybody's got any questions about anything, then now's the time to do it. I'm just going to do my little pitch here. Don't forget, I still do these online workshops as well, so check these out. We do like more advanced lighting in these. These are like 2 or 3 hours long with like 50-page PDFs. This is not just here's some lighting diagrams. These are fairly intensive courses that teach you how to understand light, rather than just monkey see, monkey do of like, here's a lighting diagram and set it up, right? These have lighting principles like my hierarchy of light and lighting densities and that sort of stuff that empower you to have the knowledge to go and create these lighting setups rather than just copying me. So check those out as well. Don't worry, there is no Photoshop course in there. Check those out, and also the mentoring as well. I still do a bunch of mentoring with people, which is good, so check those out. This is just more kind of tailored to your specific needs, whether it be like whatever your specific business is, or space, setting up a studio in your space or whatever it is. That's what that is as well. Check that out. Thanks for your time today, Jake. Great stream. Time to have a nice afternoon cup of tea. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Thank you, Andre. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for hanging out. Like, subscribe. Yeah, do what Jamie says, for Christ's sake. Otherwise, he will not be happy. Yeah, so make sure you do what Jamie says. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to the foot message. Yep. And then, yeah, Jamie's right. I will also, I don't know whether there's anything clip worthy in here. I don't think. Maybe I'll have a look over the week, see if there's a clip in there. But yeah, the VOD will be up as well, so you can always go back and check that out. Guys, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Always great to see what you guys are working on. Incredible images, as always. If you're kind of just, tuning in and you think, oh my God, these images are too good, I don't want to share my work, don't be afraid to, right? Everybody starts somewhere, and like we're all here to learn, right? So let's do it. All right, guys, I shall catch you 2 weeks' time. Let's try and do it again, and yeah, stay safe till then. Catch you next time. Bye for now.